about transfer news and maybe also transfers we want to see happen and addressing lots of rumours. So it's good that I've got two Newcastle fans on because obviously Newcastle are linked to pretty much every player, I think, from what I've seen. And I know, John, you get accused of being a Manchester United fan, so it's good to get you on especially.
Wow. Well, I'm getting a lot of stick. Mason listen to it, mind. She might be listening to this one, mind.
But no, I think the first story is like a strange one we'll talk about. And if anyone's got any suggestions of other stories, we'll definitely cover as many things as we can. What do people think about Adama Traore? It's going on a loan deal to Barcelona. Obviously, a lot of Spurs fans and Spurs channels I watch were heavily hoping that he'd go to Spurs. I mean, we talk about Traore quite a lot in terms of lack of end product. He seems like a strange signing for Barcelona. And what do people think about that?
I think it's the most bizarre transfer move Barcelona can make. I mean, in terms of the wing options, they've already got the likes of Ousmane Dembele, unless they're going to let him go. But yes, his injury record is appalling. But in terms of end product, he offers more than Traore does. Traore is an absolute physical beast, but in terms of getting goals and assists, he doesn't register enough. In Barcelona, they sold him 6 years ago because he was as light as a feather. He was incredibly small. I don't exactly see the reason behind this one, but if Xavi can get something out of him, then fair enough. But I think it's an absolute pointless decision.
It sounds about as strange as when they signed Braithwaite from Middlesbrough. It just doesn't register with me.
Yeah.
Or look too young.
Yeah, they have a habit of doing this every so often though, so it wasn't too surprising when I saw it. Like at first, it was like, "Huh, Barcelona," and I thought about it, and then it was like, "Oh, okay."
Is he a player that people actually rate? Because when we talked about Traore, okay, there's a lot of things he does well, but end product is not one of them. And I know you could blame maybe some of the strikers at Wolves for that.
Possibly.
Would you have wanted him at Manchester United? Like with John, would you have wanted him at Newcastle?
Is that game, Richard? Sorry, I can't hear you.
Hi, Andrew. And cheers, Thomas. Cheers, John, and other people in the comments. Traore for Andrew is one of the underrated players in the Premier League. I think a lot of people would say not be quite so kind towards him because obviously he's very good at what he does, bringing the ball forward. But
yeah, but he's got a worse end product than Akin Bayern. That's saying something.
Yeah.
Well,
he's got a fantastic physical presence though. Like he's got a fantastic physical presence and his pace combats that. It's just he doesn't have the end product to match. I think you may have seen an improvement under Conte, but I just don't know what he's going to offer to.
In a better team, though, with better finishers than Wolves,
he might.
Do you think maybe he would be?
Possibly, he could tear it up, but it remains to be seen. The one good thing for him, though, is he's got the pace and the strength to deal with anybody. It just depends. I don't see much in it for him, but hey, well, that's just an honest opinion. That's just my opinion on him.
Thing is as well with Traore, right? I mean, listen, he's quick, he's got pace, but he's got an end product for me. I mean, for me, it's just going to upset a lot of people. Yeah, he's just using Bolt in the cut because he has got a final product. That's the thing. He's got the pace, he's got the skill. He's just like an athlete.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I just think he's using Bolt in the cut. But I mean, he's gone to Barca now. He's gone back since 7 years ago. Good luck to him. I think he'd do well there. But I can understand why he didn't want to go to Tottenham because he didn't want to play as right wing back, and he knew that Conte played for. That's why he's gone to Barca. But I didn't see that one coming, by the way. But it is what it is.
He's good for pace, but he's not got a end product. But I just don't think he's one of the players that just can't cross the road. I don't think.
I'm not sure why Barcelona have signed him. I mean, his club switch would sign him and find him a decent enough player for them. You know, I mean, he's obviously done decent enough at Wolves, but he's been coming on as a sub quite a bit. Barcelona, as said before, I think Dembele has to go for him to get games.
Yeah.
You got Ferran Torres as well, so it depends on what they're going to do. Mind you, he's got the versatility. We'll see what happens. Like if he goes and has a brilliant 6 months with Barcelona, could potentially be involved in winning the Europa League. I'm not going to say they're going to win it, but there's a good chance. Then fair play to him, but we'll see. I just don't know if it's the right decision for him. But you're right about playing as a wing back, like at Conte. Like for Conte, you know he'll absolutely hate it. He hates being in that position.
Right.
He likes being further forward.
I suppose, like a loan deal, though. It's good to see if he actually works out in that league. John, you excited about this player coming to the Toon?
I am indeed. I mean, it hasn't signed a deal yet, but my understanding is that Leon are trying to get this lad called Favre from Best French club, Best as a replacement, like replacement for him. If they get him, then I think this guy will come, because I can tell you now. I mean, we definitely need a box-to-box midfielder. CDM. I also want him as well, but they didn't know until Newcastle went in for him. And my understanding is he spoke to the players in Ecuador and asking all the Brazilian players, his teammates, and that sort of thing, what do you think of Newcastle and the Premier League? He must have said something about it, and I think he's made his mind up. I think he's going to come, and if he does come, I think it'll be a fantastic acquisition, because we have not had a proper box-to-box midfielder since you could say since like a Toyota sort of thing. He's a holding midfielder, and I tell you what, we had Rob Lee as a box-to-box midfielder. He's quality, but I think
Parker as well.
Yeah, that's a good shout.
I think Baka, I mean, that deal was dead last week, and then they resurrected. But I said along on my streams, I believe that his agent at Newcastle right now to flash out a deal, and this can go to the last year. And Bayern Leverkusen will need to get a replacement first before they allowed Baka to leave the club.
I was expecting him to stay PSG. I didn't think PSG would ever sell him, because he was doing well under Pochettino at left back. He was doing really well, and then moved him on, which was stupid. But then again, like he's done decent at Leverkusen this season. I'll give him that. And I'm just reading the live chat. Foxy, you're spot on about Brazil Ecuador. What, half an hour in? There's already like 3 red cards. 3 already, aye.
3.
Yeah.
Question actually for Newcastle fans, because as soon as Newcastle got the money, I did a podcast, and I think whoever I got on as a guest at the time basically listed half Manchester United team as players they wanted to buy. I think Van der Beek was one, Martial was another. Is Martial a player you guys would have actually really wanted? I mean, he's obviously gone off to Spain.
I think if we weren't in the position we are now, possibly if we're sort of 10th and looking for an attacking player, Martial might be somebody we can bring in. A bit like, I mean, I think years ago we brought in Louis Saha for a period of time on loan, and he sort of grew from there. I think Martial could have fitted in quite well, but we need hard workers in the position we are right now. And no disrespect to Martial, he does work hard, but is he going to dig deep when when we need that last 5%? I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, I was thinking that based on the situation Newcastle are in, that Martial might not be the right type of player. I think it might be a bit more. I think, put it this way, I think it might be more effort. You want more effort out of Martial than he's prepared to put in, probably, where Newcastle want to get out of this situation. And so for me, I think for Manchester United fans, so if things are going well, Martial might be a great player to bring in. Like if you're flying to the top half of the league, Martial would be a great player to bring on. But I think for you probably need a different type of player mentally. So I think it's quality, but I think maybe the Premier League may not be the best league for him.
The scary thing is, though, is he's going to a team that's only 4 points behind Real Madrid in the league. Sevilla are sitting second in the league.
It could be all he needs is a fresh start. I think he kind of the last couple of years at Manchester United, he wants to leave, and I think he just wants to leave the league.
Yeah, and if he does, like, fair to him, like, it's just unfortunate he's had, like, in terms of numbers produced, like he has produced a fair amount in the league. He's had games where he's really been the stepping stone for United when they've needed a difference, but it's never truly been consistent, and that's always the annoying part. I do get Andrew's comments about Traore, and like I say, like opinion is important, and obviously he says he feels like a broken record.
Yeah.
Don't be, because obviously I've got a certain bias towards certain players. You've got a certain bias towards Traore. I don't think Traore is a bad player. I've never once said that. I don't think he's a bad player. I just think in terms of winning something, I think he isn't the decisive one for me. I don't think he offers you enough, but what he does offer you is the pace, the strength. He does give you skill as well on the ball. It's just, if you had to do or die, get the ball in the back of the net, you're not going to put your faith in Traore. But if you had to butcher a defence, though, at breakneck pace,
Yeah,
I would have him up front every day of the week.
you could see potentially him doing well, couldn't you, in certain situations? I would agree with like Foxy and say I think Martial would do well at La Liga. It'd be interesting to see how he gets on.
I think if you look at the goals tally for Martial, it's never been great anyway, even when he was at Monaco. I mean, he was scoring goals, but he was young, so people were like, oh, yes, we need this player. He's never been an out-and-out goal scorer anyway.
He's only had 2 years at us where he's scored more than 20. His first season in 2 years ago.
I think people were expecting it to kind of improve year on year, and maybe a bit like Thierry Henry, maybe switch more to the centre. We've never really seen. I've never really seen him as that sort of player.
That's what I was hoping.
I've always felt with Martial, he's one of them players that every so often the club gets a player like that, and in a way I compare him to Iheanacho at our club. He's been around now for a few seasons, but he's, apart from last season, where obviously that goes with getting a run in the squad, and I understand that, and I know Martial wasn't always a predominant first team player, so it's also you kind of give him a lot more leeway, and it probably draws out their career, but also stints it at a club. Like, I'm just hoping for the same sake as probably Man U fans are wishing well to Martial when he now he's no longer at the club. I kind of hope that we don't do the same with Nacho, because you see a player, suddenly you realise, wow, he spent 7 years there and he scored. How did he waste his career then? It wasn't a wasting. It was just every time he seemed to get the ball rolling, something would happen, whether it was an injury or a new signing or a new manager, and it's very disheartening to see as a football fan and just a neutral to see these players for one reason or another seemingly getting their career shelved for a period of time. And of course, sometimes it's self-inflicted. Obviously, it can be always self-inflicted, but sometimes you think, oh, great, just as you see the best out of Martial, the results aren't going well, so they sack the manager, and then this new manager doesn't play a structure for him to fit in. Like you say, the next thing you know, in the blink of an eye, that's 8 months of his career gone. He's played 4 games or something like that. It's something that I really hope he's able to move on for. And something from a Leicester point of view with my club, I'm hoping we don't see suffer with Nacho, because Martial was probably at Manchester United, probably in the years where you expect to see the best out of a player of that calibre. I just hope he hasn't missed the bus to kind of get his career back on track and prove to the world what he really can do when given the opportunity.
I think with him, it's not at the age where he's going to be going down a hill. I think Martial is still a few good years, definitely. And I think maybe it's disappointing that it hasn't quite worked out from the last season. I think maybe 2 or 3 years ago, we did see a player that looked very, very good. And as Andrew said, it's just frustrating that there's a quality player in there. And potentially, when he's had a 20-goal season, you think, can he kick on and get 25, 30? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, exactly. Like Iheanacho got 19 goals and actually was for the first season since Jamie Vardy got to the Premiership. It was the first time that the big dog was outscored, as they like to say. The main man was outscored by Jamie Vardy. Jamie Vardy was outscored by Nacho, and we haven't seen him this year. Nacho, rarely. He went back to being a bench player, and it's like, that's the frustrating part. So you got fans sitting there going, why isn't he playing a 2 up front? And why isn't he, you know what I mean? And seeing it from a different team's point of view, it's just as frustrating to watch.
Yeah, what do people think Callum Chambers to Aston Villa? And Aston Villa seem to be making quite a few moves in the transfer market with deals.
I think it's most pointless signing they could have made all window. In a nutshell, most pointless signing.
Absolutely agreed.
Like, one of the ones that came out of the blue today, Kagabi going after email earlier on, and it came out of the blue, and I think it's one of the ones that's just a bit pointless and panic buying and desperate stuff, because I know Aston Villa have already signed Coutinho, they've signed Digne, and I don't know about what it's for, but I think in terms of Callum Chambers signing, it's a bit panicky and desperate.
It's all. I think the only reason they've actually allowed Chambers to go to Arsenal is from Arsenal to Aston Villa is just so Arsenal can get Douglas Luiz. But if Aston Villa are fucking stupid signing Chambers, he's absolutely shit.
I agree.
Yeah, I don't understand that purchase at all. Unless there's something where they're not matching up with rules and regulations, and they want to get him into balance. I don't know. I can't figure a reason why, because it just baffled me. He doesn't sit to me as a Premiership quality player.
Just a quality player in general, he is not.
Exactly, that's what I mean. I don't think he's at this level at all. So I don't understand why Villa, with such high ambitions, clearly with the signings they're making, the ambitions to get them back to probably their glory days. Probably not so much back up to like
those.
Probably more recent when they consider it glory days. Probably in the early 90s when they were in and around like the top 6 and that. Probably more down to it. Fans
it's
start
worked
getting
out pretty well, hasn't it? That Manchester United fans, and we're a Manchester United channel here. We're not going to want Steven Gerrard to do too well, but Aston Villa, I think they've made a good appointment there, and they certainly look a lot stronger.
Personally with Chambers, I get where people are coming from. He hasn't sort of kicked on at Arsenal or done anything. But Steven Gerrard said he was going to create a squad which had competition for each position. So he doesn't want to bring in somebody who's going to upset the first 11. He wants somebody there who can come in if he needs him. And Kieran Chambers will do that.
I still think he could have looked... I think he still realistically could have looked elsewhere for something a little bit more of that quality. He does have some versatility. He can play right back as well, but my only thing about him is he's just average. Like, he isn't realistically going to do anything, and once he's been ripped to pieces, that'll be it. He won't get another game. I just think it's a bit bizarre. Like, he's made that decision, but the one good thing riding on Gerrard at the minute is signings he has made both at Rangers and at Villa have actually turned out fairly well. He could get something out of Chambers. But
it might have an idea. There might be some reason. I think you're probably given the benefit of the doubt at the moment and back what he's trying to build at Villa. Seems to be working out. Question for you, John, because I know you got to jump off at like 10:15. So who do you want to see Newcastle sign this window? So one player that was linked, which I'm not sure he's actually going to go anywhere at all, was Lingard. Would you want someone like Lingard?
You know what it is? I mean, before I answer that question, everyone say hi, John. Thanks very much indeed, and big up to you people, and hope you're okay, guys. Listen, Lingard, I'd take him all day long, but the problem is there's no way I'm going to pay, or the club pay 50 million quid survival fee sort of thing. You know what I mean? Which I've never.
That's a weird. Yeah, it's a strange one, isn't it?
Yeah. We're only doing it to you because of Longstaff, if you think about it. The whole 50 million thing is because of the whole Longstaff bollocks. So we're just being like, here you go.
Yeah, but with Lingard, we may as well just say, here's 25, 30 million and buy him outright, then pay 12 million registration, 2 million for his wages, 2 million loan fee, and never actually have a player. It makes no sense.
It makes no sense at all. I mean, there's a guy who I'm not a big fan of, Luke Edwards, and that he's been a journalist for a long time, and he's never ever said that in his life. And I have to agree with him because, I mean, what they're trying to do now, these clubs, because they're the richest club in the world, they're trying to fleece us out as much money as possible because basically some of the English clubs don't want to do business in Newcastle United. That's number one. Number two, they just don't want to do business with us anymore. Do you know what I mean? Because what's happening? Well, I don't want to say it, man. I really don't know what to say.
Hey, John, that's not true. From a Leicester point of view, I'll gladly give you Perez back for free.
What happened with the Diego Carlos talks? Did they just fall through, or is there nothing to it? Like, I thought you were going to sign him for your centre back.
Yeah, well, we're not going to get him now because the fact of the matter is we tried him for 2 weeks. My understanding was we put in a 30 million offer for him, right? Seville turned it down. They would have released close to 68 million quid, right? And we said, well, no, we're not paying that because he's 29 in March. And Spanish clubs, right, are put this ridiculous clauses in their contracts. You know what I mean? You've got like Gabby for £1 billion at Barca. But the thing is, Monchi come out and said that the offer was good, right? Maybe at the wrong time. But if you come back in the summer, we'll talk again. Well, my advice to him, I said this on my earlier stream, my advice to you, Monchi, is we're not going to come back, number one. We're not going to do business with Sevilla and you ever again, the way we got treated. Now, this football club, right, are one of the worst for negotiation sort of thing. They don't want to start at their terms, yeah? Diego Carlos wanted to come to Newcastle United, and he was offered a new deal, Sevilla, and he said no. They're going to match his wages. What's going to offer him? They said no. He said no, and now all it is now, they come and say that he's happy at the club. So I don't know what to believe, but one thing I'm going to say, we've moved on for Diego Carlos, by the way, right? And we just go on to other targets. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, if people start taking the piss, I think ultimately you've got to go for someone else and not be held to ransom by some of these clubs. I would say at some point you probably have to pick a few targets and go with them. So I think Newcastle do need a few signings.
We do.
Yeah, you probably need to move the other target then, John, don't you? After going to take a back out it.
Yeah, it is what it is. But
I'll say your last game though, crucial win, and I think it's really close. I think Newcastle are you're still better than at least a couple of teams down there, even without signing players. I think it'll still be tight, but I think a few players does make it look pretty good for Newcastle.
It's going to be so tight. It's going to be really, really tight down there. I think we'll stay up, but I've got a feeling Burnley's going to sign Vugos and Orsic as well, 2 quality wingers and the striker sort of thing. But that's for another day. But what we need, I agree with John as well. We need another 4 or 5 more players coming in before the transfer window is shut. And if you get those 4 or 5 players come in, whoever they are, then I think that's a fantastic transfer window sort of thing, because we never had this. On Chris Wood, right? I mean, I'm backing this guy, but for me, on one hand, it's a panic signing, right? I think we got fleeced out of Burnley for 25 million quid. I nearly fell off and said, you got to heard the price. And
it's his release clause, wasn't it? So it
was just 25 million quid.
There's no way Burnley want to sell him otherwise, because Burnley, you can say whether you think he's good or not signing or a good player, but Burnley need to hang on. They're in a massive problem, relegation fight with Burnley, and they want to keep all their players. There's a lot of players out of contract at the end of the season, so Burnley, if they go down, they could be in massive trouble. So for them, they wouldn't want to sell anyone.
I'm still baffled how they allowed that to happen. How your top goal scorer, let's face it, and your target man, and how they go about playing football. Why at any point during the last few years did they not think, 25 million's becoming actually a bit cheap, even if he's not valued it? It's still cheap, isn't it? Why did they not think, hey Chris, do you want to come and have a word in the office, mate, and talk about this fucking release clause we've got? Because it's a bit shit, mate. I don't get it. I just don't get it.
Villa put 100 million on Grealish because they put a figure that was crazy.
They knew Man City were going to pay it as well.
Yeah, exactly.
I think Villa offered them a contract in the summer, didn't they?
I wouldn't even be surprised if Villa turned around and went, "Oh, Man City, how much are you willing to pay for Grealish?" And they went 80 million. And went, result, his release clause is 100. Because clubs do these sort of things. The clubs communicate, they get an idea of the price, and they go, "Oh, we might take 80 million for him. Oh, we'll be interested in that. All right. Oh, well, we'll just offer him a new deal. Jack, release clause. How about 100 million, mate?" That's exactly how it could have gone down. And I'm just surprised. Clubs still have him. I don't, I just don't understand them to a point now. I just think it's ridiculous.
They put them high enough so that if it does get bought, you got enough money to deal with the situation. I think 25 was quite low for a player that.
Yeah, but then you risk losing a player, like you said with the Newcastle guy that you was trying to get, and suddenly his release clause is 6-8, and suddenly now that they suddenly want to go for a player that they know he's not worth 68 million. Like you said, John, no guy pushing 29 is worth 68 million unless he's Ronaldo or someone like that. You know what I mean? And that's, and even then, I'd question the price range for a player for that price at that age. So it begs. I don't understand why clubs do it. I can understand why a player would want him, but I don't understand why a club would do it unless it is someone exceptional. Like, why would you consider it? Like Chris Wood to me does not scream a player that you go, well, you can go only if they offer this much. You know what I mean? It just doesn't.
No, I did say, I kind of joked about it a month ago and said if Newcastle signed some of the best players from Burnley, Watford, Leeds, that might be quite a good strategy, because you kind of just make sure they go down. I think Burnley, if they lose Tarkowski as well, could have problems. A comment here from Football Style is about the player we were talking about 10 minutes ago. So do you think it's realistic to get this person plus another 3 or 4? Do you think 4 or 5 players is achievable? I'm just kind of talking as a Manchester United fan. We're lucky if we get 1 or 2 done. We're just so slow with transfers.
We do need more players through the door. I get a lot of people on my channel saying there could be 1 or 2 surprises coming through the door. But I say to people, like, just chill out sort of thing. Don't get angry sort of thing. Don't get stressed. The players will come in. And I'm confident we're going to get these players coming in. We're going to get Guimaraes. We're going to get backup by the sounds of it. Yeah. We could get another striker through the door. 100%. Let's hope. And we could get another defender, centre half, and hopefully we get others through the door as well. We just got to be patient. But one thing I'm going to say, guys, right? This is the first time, right, in 14 years that we could be excited in this transfer window. Because under Mike Ashley, this will never happen. Never happen at all. So I'm just so excited. We've got, as Newcastle fans, we should be, be over excited, super excited. This thing's going to go through. We're going to do bits. But our main objective is to stay up. If we can stay up, that'd be fantastic. But whoever comes into Newcastle, I'll back them, right? These owners are serious and they want to do well for the club. And let's hope that we get them through the door.
Yeah, I mean, we've been linked with a 7 million offer, is it, for Dan Burn? Possibly going up to 12 million, depending on what the situation is there. I don't know why we haven't started to have a look at somebody like Nat Phillips from Liverpool. He's not getting the game time. He's ready for the Premier League. And we need a centre-back. Even if it was a loan deal, it would be a good signing.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard, I get a lot of people saying, why not get Nat Phillips and that sort of thing. But in my opinion, I mean, he's rated, what, 25 million quid. I would not pay 25 million pounds for this guy. Because the thing is, right, I mean, people say that he's English, right? That's why we've got to pay English premium, right? But I would not pay 25 million for Nat Phillips because he's not proven at all. I'd be happy paying 25 million, 30 million for that guy from Southampton. Is what's his name? The guy from Southampton and scored the first goal. Is that not Araj? Oh, I know who he is. Someone's gonna enlighten us.
Yeah, if someone puts it in, I'll put the comment up.
Livermento?
Yeah, that's the one.
Oh,
He's from Chelsea on loan, and Newcastle tried to get him as well for 40 million quid. I don't think we're going to get him at all whatsoever, sort of thing. I think he's still at Southampton. But the bottom line is, I mean, we haven't had a cracking transfer window. We've got 2 players through the door. I mean, Trippier, I mean, the guy's world class. I don't got anyone saying he's
very good.
World class player. And he is a champion because he won the La Liga, Atletico Madrid. And he's a leader as a talker. He's my captain, 100%.
What was the fee in the end? Because I think we were linked to him probably at the start of the season, but the money they were talking was really high at the time.
Yeah, we paid 12 million.
I think they wanted 35 at the time. I'm sure it was like 35. It seemed high, and we were like, "That's pretty." So you got a good deal there, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think 12 million is a bargain for someone who's 31-year-old, and I just enjoy watching Kieran Trippier. And again on Saturday against Leeds, that guy was absolutely amazing.
So he could do a job left or right, couldn't he? So he's quite versatile. I would say with him, you also don't have a crazy amount of time, do you? So this is the player we were talking about before. So if you pay a little bit more because they are Premier League or you pay an English tax, at least you want someone that's going to hit the ground running because you haven't got time to adapt to the league because games are going to be coming quite thick and fast. You're not going to have you basically got the next 6 months. So I think Trippier is a good signing. Obviously, Premier League experience is guaranteed just going to improve your team. He's probably got, I'd say there's definitely probably going to be some bonuses if you stay up or play a certain number of games. I'm sure there is a few things in there, add-ons. I can't remember what they were, but there were some. But that's fine. I think Newcastle can afford that.
Yeah, I don't know. I heard that it's going to rise up to something like 20 million quid. I mean, according to JK on there, basically said that didn't you had add-on bonuses on his contract too. I'm sure he has, but I think there's add-ons as well. So I think I just think a decent sign. How much it's going to cost in the end, I think it's worth money, 100%. And I'm backing the guy sort of thing. If he scored like 5 to 10 goals to keep us up, that'd be money well spent. He's not a long-term signing, but we could have gone over and bought Zapata for Atalanta, make the offer they cannot refuse, and just pay the money.
John, just a quick question for you though. Do in the midst of the excitement, which obviously you're very much entitled to have over the last 14 years of pure horror you've had with Ashley, is there not a fear though with being linked, and this goes to both the Toon fans in there, with so many players, that if you make too many signings, like Rich just pointed out, there's only a week left, there's only a few days left, obviously, there's a transfer window. We always know that when you're not necessarily buying players from the Premier League or players that have played in the Premier League before, if you maybe make too many signings to try and fix the problems, because obviously you're in a catch-22 at the moment, you want to make sure you've got enough in there to stay up, so you can then maybe spend in the summer. But are you kind of maybe thinking of teams in the past like a QPR that chucks money at a problem and tried to do it that way? Are you hoping that Newcastle at least get the balance right? Do you maybe fear that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question there. I think we're gonna make the balance right. I mean, I'm not asking the club to spend money nilly sort of thing, like bringing 10 players. I'd rather have quality, not quantity. Yeah, I'd rather have like the build properly, build slowly process like Man City has done. Yeah, build slowly and then bring in the players that we're gonna need in the summer. What we need is just to get the players coming in, right? Just to keep ticking over that sort of thing. Yeah. Just one more defender. We need a midfielder. So you're going to get Bruno Guimaraes and maybe a striker. Left back is okay. And we definitely need a number 10 if that needs to be, because I don't think Miggy Almiron's good enough for Newcastle anymore. I really don't. I think he needs to be away in January. We definitely need a striker because Callum Wilson's out injured at this moment in time. And Joe Linton can save us a bit of money. We don't need to spend too much on midfields and that as well. But I think 3, 4, 5 more players would do, but I'm not asking to sign 10 players, right? But listen, I'd take another 4 to 5 more players. I'd take that this January, and then in the summer, look at the situation, find out what we need, and then hopefully we could push on. But the most priority at the moment in time is to stay in the Premier League, which I truly believe.
Yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head. I don't think Newcastle are going to go the way of just spending the money willy-nilly. There was that concern when Eddie Howe come in, because obviously when he got money at Bournemouth, he signed people like Solanke. That worked out well, didn't it? Okay, he's doing all right in the Championship, but we're not looking at that. So technically, I think we've got a squad that on paper should stay up. It should do. It's good enough. We just need that sort of fresh investment. And if that really means that, I mean, Wood, he settled in, a bit nervous on the first game. I think that was down to just literally, it's a big club for him. No disrespect to Burnley. It's a completely different atmosphere. Second game worked tremendously hard. Yes, he didn't get a goal, but, you know, as long as he's working hard and bringing something to a team, even if it's bringing other people into the game to score goals, I think it's a pretty good signing. And I think that we've got to now, with only 2 signings, show that Newcastle are going to do this slowly and properly. And like John said, I think if we get a centre-back and maybe another midfielder in terms of the number 10 role, I think we could be quite clear. Yes, we need a few more, but if we could get that over the line by the end of the month, I think that's enough for Newcastle.
Yeah. Because the reason I asked you both that question is purely because I think, yes, obviously Newcastle ideally probably used to a real massive upgrade more than just them few players. But if you take it on the here and now, and let's face it, whether you've got 4 billion in the bank or 4 million in the bank, a club is always going to look at your league position. And obviously, no smoke without fire with most rumours you hear, to be fair. But there is obviously always going to be them players that look at Newcastle and maybe would agree to come to Newcastle, but then also think, what if it goes wrong? I'm going to then have to play in the division below that's not the Premier League. I'm not going to get noticed. I might lose my national place, especially if they're fighting for positions. So as much as it might sound like they're coming for the money, obviously there might be a few players that you have talked to that when you're safe and you stay up, you can then get in the summer and there's not so much hassle to get them because they're also more pushing for the move, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it's like I said, like John said, building in stages. The first stage is avoid relegation. So some of the players that have got Premier League experience at Trippier they fit straight in, and a few more quality players. I think for me, like obviously Wilson's always out injured, and as good as he is when he's fit, is like Luis Saha. They just don't get enough games out of him, so you definitely need some backup score. And yeah, once you've got sort of you survive the league, then you can look at it in summer. But I think then you'll be looking at different caliber of players. So then you're looking at players that are going to be a massive improvement to your team, and also maybe people will be a bit more keen to move. I think there's definitely some options out there because players will be looking with the World Cup coming up quite soon. If they're not getting into their own team, then Newcastle will be a good option, I think, also because of the high profile of the team.
I think also we're looking at. I mean, I've got a list next to me of players I would say I could see leaving Newcastle. So we got Kieran Clark. He's obviously had a lot of grief about being in there. Almiron, as John said. Fraser, I'm sort of in and ahhing about. It's whether we can get the best out of him. Hendrick, another one who wants the signings to come in. I think he'll be gone. And as much as some people will hate me for saying this, Shelvey, I don't think he turns up enough for us. And yeah, okay, he scored the winner the other week, but we just need more out of him, and he's just a bit lazy, really, in terms of the way he gets involved in the game. And if he's there, and he's people are calling him for the England squad or whatever, But more times than not, he's not there.
Yeah, personally, from an outsider's view, John Joe Shelvey would be the first one I put up on the list. Personally, I mean, you guys see more of him than I do, but I don't think he cuts the mustard at this level, let alone being good enough for Newcastle. He'd have been one that I'd have been trying to sell like I'm trying to get rid of Perez. I'm offering him out all over the place. He just seems like one of them players to me.
You're stuck with him, I think, unfortunately for you, Brad.
Oh, well, I can keep trying. I can keep wishing, can't I?
Thing
Yeah,
is,
as Andrew says,
Leicester, high hopes. Yeah, I mean, what's it? It's his third season now in Leicester City. It's got to be his. He's having to be there 2.5 seasons of UG on a 5-year deal. So you have 2 years left on his contract. We don't want him back. I
know. I tried offering him away for £2.50 and a chomp, but someone said you'll take the £2.50 and a bounty. And I said bounties are more valuable to me than Perez. So that didn't happen.
Absolutely no chance. No chance. We could have him now. I mean, the thing is, though, this is the new Newcastle now, and once you get a squad up together, sort of, and start challenging for stuff like that, I mean, probably take a top 8 finish. I mean, next season, take a top 8 finish, however it may be, but. I'll leave Purse alone.
Oh well. Yeah. Maybe I'll drop the chocolate bar and just offer 50p.
I think Newcastle will also. I mean, Leicester did exactly the same when the money come into their club. Yes, they weren't the richest family in the world or anything like that, but they had the money to spend, and they didn't spend it crazily. And they've ended up bringing in players a couple of years down the line, like Tielemans and people like that. And it worked for them, so I don't see why it can't work for Newcastle.
Yeah, I agree there, sort of thing. I mean, you touched on Tielemans. I take Tielemans all day long. This guy's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
We'll take Perez if we can have Tielemans tied on the back.
No, not a chance. Not even remotely, mate. I've already announced it enough times on this channel. The day that goes down, I'm noting it on my calendar so I never forget to mourn his anniversary of him leaving Leicester because it's just going to be absolutely horrible.
That's the thing. Whenever we do transfer podcasts in the past, we tend to upset Leicester fans by just talking about Tielemans or Ndidi or Maddison. You just got
some of the people in the comments need to get a new hobby.
You just got to accept, though, Brad. That's one of the.
No, it's a good thing, though, in a way.
You've got some good players, though. That's a compliment, if anything. It's a compliment to your team.
Oh, yeah, of course. But we want them for as long as possible. It's like, can we just get another year out of them? But I'm already accepting of the fact that unless we pull off a miracle and come top 4, Tielemans is not going to sign a deal, so he's going to be gone. So hopefully we can rob you for about what you paid 8 million for Maguire.
know,
So
I'm-
what,
I'm
160
worried
for
that-
Tillman?
I'm worried that Liverpool want him. I don't want him to go to Liverpool. I think
No,
he's too good a
honestly,
player.
I'd rather Real Madrid take him. Honestly, that's how much I rate him. I'd rather him not play against us ever again and go to Madrid or go to Bayern
I'm
Munich
happy
or
with
something
that.
like
That's
that.
a good point.
I was going to say, I've just seen that message.
Yeah, I was just reading that.
No,
To be fair, there's a non-league player who I watched for once, and halfway through his debut, he just did a forward roll in the middle of the pitch. Nobody knows why. Just literally, the ball's up the other end, and he just did a forward roll, and we're like, okay, who have we signed here?
someone just got a little bit bored and went, I'm bored, I'm going to keep myself occupied.
Yeah.
Okay, Fox saying so. Maybe Atletico aren't doing too badly, but I think you still got a good deal. I think Trippier for 12 million is a good deal.
I think that's a bit of that could be the bottom of the summer, bottom of the window for me. I mean, we're the biggest spenders at the minute. We spend 37 million quid, and more to spend. I think they're the biggest spenders in the January window. I think that'd be brilliant.
We just got to wait and see if one of them crazy Tevez and Mascherano to West Ham signings comes up, and then we all sit there scratching our heads until the new season starts.
I was going to say, before we started streaming, and it's just me and Dave, I was saying, I'm trying to think who it was. That Dugarry going to Birmingham was like the weirdest sort of transfer deadline sort of move. I don't know if we'll see anything that weird now, but I imagine Newcastle will be working on quite a few deals that people aren't aware of. So I wouldn't be surprised if something comes up that is a bit surprising.
Yeah, I think Alan Shearer's coming back for 100 million, I think.
Or Les Ferdinand out the blue for a £5.
Thomas Muller, what is that link?
Yeah, that was something that come up this morning in Germany, that we were hunting down Thomas Muller.
That'll never happen.
It would be the most bizarre thing in the world, because
No.
we're not after people of, I mean, I can't even remember how old Thomas Muller is, but he's sort of heading onwards.
He'll just retire at Bayern Munich as club captain eventually. They'll give him captain's armband.
I think that's just wires crossed. I just think the owners were caught dropping in Asda getting Muller yogurts, and they've just put some two together and got it wrong.
John, what's your
He's for his age,
John,
he's
what's
still-
your
he's
thoughts
still
on
good player.
Thomas Miller, mate?
Robinho wasn't it?
I can't see his game, but
Can you not see it?
No.
or-
Mascherano wasn't strange. It was very, very illegal.
It was Tevez broke a couple of rules.
Yeah, it wasn't
didn't
Robinho.
Yeah, it wasn't Robinho. That was Man City. And then I know he's not someone who's he's horrible what he's done, but when he signed, didn't he also come out and say you don't turn down Chelsea in his press interview?
Yeah, possibly did. Yeah,
Wasn't him
Some,
that said that? And it's like you've signed for Man City, and he went, "Oh yes, Man
I
City."
thought,
To be fair,
Robinho wasn't.
Yaya Toure was the best one, saying like, when he signed for Man City, he thought he was joining Man United because he'd never heard of them. He'd never heard of Man City, but he still signed for them anyway.
Well,
He's
didn't,
probably one of their best ever players.
Didn't John Obi Mikel have a whole press conference with Manchester United and then went off to Chelsea?
They had to pay him
something
about
like
80
that,
million
yeah.
then, didn't
That
they?
was painful.
Because we actually signed him, I think, agreed it, and then he left and signed for Chelsea. So they had to basically pay, I'm sure it was about 15 million.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it
Yeah.
was 50 million actually.
SEM was another one that got away from that
Yeah.
time as well. That was another one that got
I
away.
think that was a
Willian,
good
like-
one, yeah.
Didn't Willian have a medical at Chelsea, agreeing terms with another club, and then ended up at
Tottenham.
Chelsea as well, or something daft like that?
Tottenham or Liverpool, somebody.
It was
one of
Tottenhm.
the two.
It's
Yeah,
where,
it
like,
was Tottenham,
it's where the whole what do you think of Tottenham like shit and all that like pretty much came from all of that like bantering them because they couldn't sign Willian. They went to Chelsea.
Wasn't it David Unsworth who signed for free club, went from a club to another club and then went to Everton inside 2 days or something like that years ago, and then went, hang on a minute, how have you done that?
oh wow.
I'd be surprised. I think Thomas Muller will retire at Bayern. Like,
Oh.
He'll retire with another Bundesliga and he'll probably retire with like another Champions League.
What's
What
he
was the
going
name
to
of
do?
that Wolves player that they signed from his loan deal, then instantly sold him to Stoke for like 12 million or something? What was his name?
Oh,
No,
I can't remember.
He was on loan from. I think he was on loan from Bournemouth. They signed him, And then they literally sold him within the week to Stoke for like 12 million. It's like the
Oh.
best bit of business Wolves have ever done. I'm trying to think of his name. I'm sure he was a winger.
Oh, yeah. I know.
Like a midfielder.
Yeah, he might have played in the middle, but I thought it was a winger. I can't remember his name. I can see his face, but I can't remember it. But yeah, I'm pretty sure he went from like Bournemouth. He went to them on loan. They agreed to sign and then fucked him off to Stoke.
No idea, mate. No idea.
No idea. But I can't think of a quick question about it.
It's going to do my head until someone tells me his name in the comments or I'll remember it.
There is a name we haven't actually mentioned in this. It's been mentioned in the transfer window. Dele Alli. I mean, would anybody actually have him now? Because he's quite damaged goods, really. I think I've checked earlier. He's still only 25. He feels like he's been around for
there are some players, aren't they? Because they start young. Like, you're surprised how young they still are. I don't know, because he had one good game, didn't he, last month? And people were like, oh, maybe he's going to come back. You think, no, it's just... It's been consistently bad for a while. I don't know.
I think if... and this is not a dig, this is just a genuine comment. I think if Alex Ferguson was still the manager of Man United, Dele Alli would have been signed for United. Because he still rates him. But I think Dele Alli is a decent player. It's just his form's dropped off. He needs to get out of Spurs. But I don't actually see anybody signing him. I honestly don't see anyone signing him.
I think he needs to go somewhere where he's the number one, where he's the star player. Go to
MK Dons.
Watford or something like that.
I think that's it now.
He's got a chance.
Yeah, I think it was him. I just Googled it.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. He's a decent player, but he's not been the same player from like 4 or 5 years ago when he was absolutely tearing up as a central striker behind, like the central striker role, the second striker, behind Harry Kane. He hasn't been like that ever since. He's just been all over the place.
The thing is, didn't he start to fall out of favour under Pops in the last few months anyway? I think he started to fall out of their team anyway, so that kind of told something.
Is
you
it
know what I mean?
Liverpool? Could be him.
Yeah, might be better for Obi, but his name is.
Yeah, I reckon it's him. He's playing for Millwall now, isn't he? So
is he? Is that where he is now? Jesus, I just know the guy is an absolute unit. I don't think he's that tall either, but he's got broad shoulders like that. He was an absolute animal. The way they did it was brilliant.
I'd like to see just for the absolute.
Yeah, that was an extra 2 million. They made profit on him instantly within 10 days.
Just for one season, and it would be absolute carnage because he's an even bigger unit than Afobe. I'd love to see Akinfenwa win the league.
Yeah, could you imagine?
He is an absolute wrecking machine, of a human being. He's so big, and I'm like, I'd love to see him one season in the league.
I think he's infamously got that. He's like one of the strongest, if not the strongest player around in England, isn't he? He's actually like in the tests, he's come out number one ranked.
One of them,
Could you imagine that in a Burnley side or someone like that with the way they play football, just hoof it up to him? You're not going to bully him off the ball, are you?
How about him and Traore up front?
God,
I'd be like, see you later, I'm done.
Arsenal centre-backs would have a whale of a time, wouldn't they?
I think Arsenal are only going to... I only think Arsenal are going to sign one player. I think they'll sign Douglas Luiz from Aston Villa.
You got some fans there.
Might not be in January, but it might be in the summer. I think that's the only reason they let Chambers go.
Yeah, it's a strange one because he's been quite a good player for Villa.
Yeah.
So I'm getting myself away because I've got to get off for work at 4:30 in the morning. But listen, it's lovely for us to have her on again. I've got to come on more times, you know what I mean?
Yeah, always good to get you on, John. Even if I'm joking about you liking Manchester United, I know you.
Wow.
I did actually, because I remember a few months ago, or maybe actually last season, when we did a preview for Manchester United game, I was saying that I remember when we played Newcastle in the 90s, and Newcastle were a hell of a team. So I think maybe give it a couple of years, you're going to be back sort of that sort of standard. I think maybe this year it's just about surviving. I reckon now you've nicked Burnley's goal scorer, I think Burnley could be in trouble. And I think you'll be all right.
I hope so. I hope so. It's going to be tough. It's going to be very, very tough. And let's be real. I think we're going to do it because we're going to get quality coming in. And just got some breaking news, by the way, as well, people, before I get myself aware, that according to Craig Hope, he understands that Newcastle has finally agreed with Leon for Bruno Guimaraes as well. So more to follow on Mail Sport. So it may come a couple of hours' time. And check it out. The fee has been agreed. And Craig Hope is usually on the ball.
If you get him, it's a good signing. Like, I'll give you that.
I think that'll be a great signing, John.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, though. I mean, we need new signings. These songs going to give us that lift. And this guy, I think, is going to provide that as well because he's a Brazilian international. And if he's better than Fred, I'll take it.
Not exactly hard. As much as I like Fred, it's not exactly hard. I'm going to say this now. That's Vlahovic to Juventus. Like, he's a good striker, but he's a pussy. He's making a stupid mistake going to Juventus right now. It's not the best place for him.
I called it from day one. I mean, the moment the January window was open, I said all the way he's going to go to Juventus.
Yeah,
to the Premier League. I called it.
Yeah, well done, mate.
Clear as day.
Called it.
Sign the top player from Fiorentina. Where have I seen that before? Oh wait, Baggio in '93. No surprise.
Yeah, Baggio's done it. Benedetti's done it. Chiesa's done it.
Mm-hmm.
He won't be the first one, and he'll not be the last. And
Locatelli's another one, isn't he?
That was a good signing, though.
Aye, for Juventus from
Sassuolo, yeah. Sassuolo for AC Milan. Which is, to be fair, Milan should never got rid of him, but they've got.
Yeah, John, thanks for joining. I know it's like quite late for you because you've got to get really, really early. So appreciate that, and yeah, I'll try and stream earlier when I can and get you on. Cause it's always great to chat to you.
Definitely,
yeah, Johnson.
About that, people. I'll definitely be back, Richard. Thanks for having us on, and guys, thanks for and chat as well. Thanks so much for having us on.
Cheers, John. Thank
you. See you, John. Cheers.
John. No.
Yeah, I mean,
he's brilliant.
If we can sign Bruno, can we call him Bruno, or has Fernandez already trademarked that? If we could bring him in, he's 24. He's a defensive midfielder, which is something we don't really have. I mean, we have Hayden and Hendrick. Yeah, I think we'll take Bruno over that. And then it's like we said before, it's just a centre back. And I always sort of said when Johnny Evans was at Leicester, you know, somebody like that to come in alongside Lascelles would be really usful. And that's what we need to find.
It's
Vestergaard. Yeah. I don't think Tarowski is all he needs to be to spend 50 million on him, shall we say. So I think we do have to look outside the Premier League for that player we want.
I think it would be an interesting signing, though, Tarkowski. In terms of just like a physical player that fits Eddie Howe's team, it sort of does. It's just you're going to need the pace in there because you're in that relegation battle and you need to deal with so many players at the minute. Getting out running in the game. But,
yeah, well, another player that's out of contract in the summer is David Brooks at Bournemouth. Now, I wouldn't be surprised to see him back in the Premier League, even if it's not with Bournemouth.
Yeah.
Yeah, a couple of questions. One of them is about what people think of this pointless winter break, which we'll talk about in a minute. I just want to welcome Samuel to the stream. How you doing?
How you going, guys? All good?
Yeah.
Any chance Manchester United actually do any signings, or do you think we'll be lucky to just get any at all?
So I think it's going to be more about outgoings, really, isn't it? More players going out than coming in. If any come in, I can't see nothing happening with us bringing anything in, but some outgoings maybe on deadline day. If we're not being
that's what I'm thinking. My view is that we're going to clear some space for the next manager to bring a few new players in and try and move on some people that don't want to be here.
The biggest signing, I think, for United would be getting rid of Pogba. I know that sounds a little bit crazy, but I don't think he sort of wants to play in so many different roles
around that area. Like one good game every 3 or 4.
Yeah.
The thing for me is that if they are actually, when people say the options are to offer him $500,000 per week, that's just ridiculous. He's not worth that, and it's just. If you get a situation where you start playing one player that sort of salary, you're going to have to start. I don't know. It's just going to be bad for the whole squad. So I think I agree with you. I would say it's like not a rebuild, but with there's certain players he just moved them on now and buy new players. And he's one of them. That it's not like it's not like Marshall and Pogba. They've been there quite a long time. It's not like a rash decision.
Yeah, I agree.
Hi Zachary, hope you're doing well. He said he's surprised that Turner's moving from the MLS to Arsenal.
I can't not a goalkeeper.
I have no idea.
Think he got
I was gonna say
goalkeeper.
that.
I don't know. Think he got goalie.
That's as completely random as Callum Chambers going to Villa.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I know.
You know,
that makes
it's
it
just
more random,
come out of the blue, and I'm like,
Yeah,
Turner, I
exactly.
don't know who that is.
That but
Oh, here we go. Here we go. We'll give that's all right. We'll give this comment a week. We'll give this comment a week, and he'll be amazing. He'll
Yeah,
want him at
man.
Arsenal.
I agree with Andrew's comment. Pogba 200k a week. Yeah, 500. Aye, fuck off. Like no way.
No, there's no reason, is there? It's I can't remember what he's on now. Is it like 300 or something? But you get a massive pay rise, but for what? It just doesn't make any sense.
Well, I just don't quite get it with Pogba. You know, United had him. They knew what his attitude and agents were like, and then they still went and dived back into a sharp ball after they got rid of him. Yeah, okay, he was playing really well. Don't get me wrong. You know, he was world class when he was over in Europe, but he's come back, and it's could just come back to bite him, really, hasn't it?
it's because he's marketable, isn't it? That's the reason why they want to keep him. All the new stuff come out with Adidas. Get Pogba in the shirt, and he'll sell it. So
That's it. Get
That's what it's down to, isn't it? And his agent's a scumbag. We all know that. I don't know if you've seen it. You probably have in the summer with this agent capping whatever they're going to get paid. The sooner that happens, the better. Royal look and fuck off. If he's a scumbag, we should never deal with him ever again.
Jose, cheers, really. Thanks for the comment and the $2. Appreciate that. Set subscribe your way as an Everton fan. Everton are actually, jokes aside, for Newcastle avoiding relegation, Everton are a team that potentially could be in problems.
I think they'll go into 3-4.
It depends who they get in.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, they've narrowed it down to 3 tonight. It's either going to be this Pereira, who this seems absolutely out of the question after the comments that have come out recently, Lampard or Ferguson, and Ferguson doesn't want it. So it's going to be Lampard, isn't it?
They've literally announced it like it's some form of TV show, like it's their own version of The Apprentice. It's like, you're the final 3. Who wants a job? Or who doesn't want it the least?
At least they'll get the job longer than the Watford manager.
I don't know. Who knows?
It's running close, to be honest. I just don't get it at Everton. Something just hasn't gone right.
Maybe they should just take the full-on piss and just set up a Twitter poll of which one do you want us to sign as manager and just see what the fans want.
I think for Watford it generally wouldn't matter because they're going to be replaced in 2 months anyway.
Oh yeah,
so
Magic Cable, mate. I told you.
You're now looking at the 6th shortlist for the next one at Watford.
Yeah.
That kind of manager maybe go around at Watford, doesn't it?
I know. I thought Chelsea were bad when Watford are doing what Chelsea do every couple of years within about 6 months.
Well, Watford have said it's apparently what the board want to do. It's like, why do they want to change manager why would any manager go there for 6 months and then go, yeah, nah, maybe not.
I did get
you got to have a hobby, haven't you?
On. I spoke to a couple of Watford fans and asked them their opinion, and they were of the view that they thought it was fine. But I was thinking when Manchester United got through a few managers in sort of 3 or 4 years, you end up with a squad that, 3 or 4 players are signed by one manager. Moyes signed some, Van Gaal signed some, someone else, and it's with Watford. You don't even get a transfer window sometimes, and you're gone.
Yeah. With Watford, sometimes you don't even make it to the office before you're sacked. You get met with your P45 at the door.
No, they all sign the contract. It has an end date in 6 months' time, and that's the problem. But it's you just don't get a chance to build a squad. And I mean, everybody goes on about Sir Alex being sort of this great manager. He had a terrible time to start with at United, but they gave him the time, and look what happened. And so many other managers just need that time.
Yeah, you see that. How long do you reckon Eddie Howe gets at Newcastle?
I hope he gets long enough. I hope he gets a couple of years. I think he can do it. I mean, he's proved so far that he's learned his lessons from Bournemouth and not just going to spend his money on any old person, Solanke. It's the best example I could think of. But
what's interesting is that say there's some managers like Potter, and you say how would they do it at a bigger club, and he's joining Newcastle at the moment. That Newcastle, okay, fan base wise, support wise, they're a big club, but they're not doing well in the Premier League at the moment. But give it 2 or 3 years, then Eddie Howe, if he's still there, will be in charge of a team that are potentially pushing European places. So it'd be interesting. I kind of hope they stick with him, and if he can turn it around this season, just see how well he can do it at a club like Newcastle. I'd hate to see 2 years down the line you go, right, cheers, thanks for getting us to 5th. Now we're going to get Conte or someone. Just
that will probably happen. That will probably happen, because clubs have this idea of big managers and get above the station. But hopefully, if Eddie puts us there, we can continue like Bournemouth did, where they had him in League Two and worked all the way up. So,
I mean, I don't see why he can't be there for a considerable amount of time, because as long as he keeps, it all just depends what your owners have as their expectation for that season. Yeah. I mean, us as fans, as we, in a way, we kind of have a right at some points to get a bit carried away when things are going well. But if Newcastle, and they sound like they are genuine, decent owners, they're not just brainlessly throwing money around. Obviously, they've got a business sense. They know what they're doing. They know what they've brought with Newcastle, and they probably know they've got a 5-year project starting. And then they'll go, and then and even 2 years into that project, they might then say, right, now we want to do this over the next 5 years. And I think as long as he's hitting what they see as acceptable and where he wants them to be, I don't see why. I don't think he's an 18-monther if he does it right. I think if he does it right, you could end up with him like, if you finish 5th over the next 2 or 3 seasons somehow, and you build up maybe even quicker than they're expecting, he could be a 5-6 year manager. There's no reason, like you said, to move someone on who's doing a job.
No, yeah, exactly. I think that's it. It's up to him to sort of improve Newcastle year on year. And then I think it would be crazy to get rid of him. Biggest rumor for Leicester, Brad, plays for Angers in France. So
no disrespect, but who is he? I just don't follow them sort of teams and leagues enough to know who he is and what position he is. And if it's another striker, I'm just gonna sigh so loudly. I'm sick of us getting linked with striker. We've got 4 as it is. We don't need another one. If you swap
him for Perez?
Oh, then by all means, I'll parade him. I'll walk back to Leicester and parade him around whilst I'll kick Perez into a taxi. But
this is sounding like the offers of people that would take Phil Jones around and drive him to a different club. But still, we still got no buyers.
I would honestly take Phil Jones. I would take him.
Based on what he did when he came back, and considering he hadn't played for 2 years, there's a lot of teams they would get a game.
Yeah,
and it's not his fault. He's had injury problems.
Give him 6 months of football. He'll be in Southgate's team, no trouble.
You joke, but
yeah, I know. It's only half joking because you think it could happen.
No, so that's only Darren Anderton, isn't it? That plays 3 games a season, walk straight back into the England team. He played more for England than he did for Spurs, didn't he?
I think so. Absolute walking sick note he was.
Question from Wacky Angler for do you think Ronaldo has too much influence at United? Because obviously he's getting paid a fortune. What do you reckon?
I mean, it's easy to say that, isn't it? But at the end of the day, he just demands the most out of himself. And if you take that upon yourself to strive to be as close to that level as possible and you go out on the pitch and do that levels, it does work when these players do it. I don't see it as too much of a hindrance. I actually remember when you had Zlatan Ibrahimovic and probably the same questions were being asked then, like, oh, he comes with an ego, he comes with this, he comes with that. But it worked. He drove that team,
and
you see the response.
So that's
you won things. You saw the response from his teammates, and I just think it's just an easy cop out to go, well, the issue's Ronaldo. He's getting paid this much. He's clearly thrown his toys out from. Blah, blah, blah. But no, to a degree, you can understand why maybe Ronaldo's going, well, hold on a minute. yes, I'm getting paid 550k, but I'm doing all I can to warrant that 550k a week. And you guys are getting paid 100k. You're asking for 200k. You're not even earning your 100k a week in my eyes. Step up, join me up here, and we can get this right. And players, I think to a degree, certain players like that have the ability and are able to say that in a sense because
maybe
they're so
Ronaldo thought
successful
like
with it.
when we signed Varane, Sancho, and Ronaldo. Maybe Ronaldo thought like Manchester United fans that we were going to actually do something this season, and the fact that the equivalent of us throwing our toys out the pram after the 5-0 defeat is probably the same as him looking back down the pitch, thinking, "What the hell is going on?"
Yeah. I mean, if that was anybody else, most Man United fans, let's just say it was a player on like, I don't know, 90 grand a week, and he wasn't that well known, and he wasn't as anywhere near the caliber of Ronaldo, but you saw him working his balls off and doing everything. You'd be going, you wouldn't be slating Ronaldo, that player. You'd be going, oh, it's his fault. He's not doing. Why is he the only one that's trying? The rest of them need to get their asses in together. They need to try. At least he's trying, but. People, it's just so easy to go, oh, he's on 550k a week, he's the problem. It's like, no, actually, he's the only one that's probably not causing the problem. The rest of the problem, because they can't match up to the caliber of what Man U have brought in, which is about 4 or 5 world-class individuals in comparison to the rest of the squad. Do you know what I mean? If that wasn't a nobody, I don't think there's any complaints about it. You'd actually be slating the rest for not living up to what he's doing. But because it's Ronaldo, it's an easy cop-out.
Maybe Ronaldo hadn't seen the Premier League since he left and thought United were still title winners and came back and just was like, oh, what's going on here?
I think Operation Father Fergie stepped in there quite a lot and probably threatened him a little bit, just like, listen here, you.
I wouldn't be surprised to see him as a coach at United at some point soon. You know, we've seen it when he's played for Portugal. You know, the Portuguese manager sat down and he's been on the touchline.
Yeah.
And
I mean, the man is built differently, isn't he? So he'd be understandable. He'd be a great coach.
Maybe he'll come to Newcastle.
I agree with Zachary's comment that probably players linked with Newcastle, you're going to probably pay a little bit more. But that's just like Manchester United have been fleeced plenty of times.
Yeah, but that's because Ed Woodward buys them.
Yeah, exactly. We have I won't say too much, but we have someone that does know how to negotiating the deals. I think was it for Fellaini? We just waited an extra week and it cost another 10 million or something stupid.
Well, Fellaini was another one that come up on Newcastle's list this summer, this transfer window.
Really?
Like, apparently, we're interested in him, and it's just like literally the papers are sitting there and just going, right, we'll pick him.
Throw it
to Newcastle. Yeah,
we spent 10 million more on Fellaini than we would have done. It was fucking stupid.
Yeah, didn't Fellaini also turn down the fact that he was willing to miss out on his loyalty bonus at Everton as well to get the move done, and that played a part in it. It was just ridiculous. The most mystifying thing for me about Fellaini is how he hasn't scored a goal by trying to head it and it's landed in his hair and it's just run it into the net. Every time I see him head the ball, I expect it to just nestle in there so we could just charge it into the net. I think that'd be the funniest goal ever, but
coincidentally,
not yet to see it.
Man United haven't won a trophy since Fellaini left the club.
Yeah, actually.
That's a fact, unfortunately.
Yeah. Maybe we need a team of David Luiz, that Arsenal midfielder, Guendouzi, and Fellaini in. The hairdressers in the area will be raiding it.
That sounds like a futuristic version of the Hair Bear Bunch.
Fellaini, I don't understand why you've been linked with Fellaini.
It was about a couple of weeks ago, and I just looked at it and went, no, not happening. But that's about the same time they said Rafa will come back to us. So it's like, yeah.
The only thing about Fellaini, though, is the best way to describe him is how Mourinho described him. He's the perfect plan B.
Yeah.
If plan A doesn't work, just put Fellaini up front.
It's different, I'll give you that.
I haven't seen Boris Johnson do that one.
But that's because Boris Johnson doesn't have a brain. He's just a Tory cunt.
That makes it sound like Fellaini's a good sign.
Anything Boris Johnson says, I take it with a pinch of salt. If he told me it was raining, I'd have to physically look outside my window.
I mean, one for the Man United fans here, Dean Henderson. What's going on there, really? I mean, he should be in there.
I think he was linked with Ajax and Newcastle, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's been linked with anywhere they'll play him, which is
Yeah,
everywhere.
that's what I mean.
No, there's no, according to most journalists, there's no position in world football that's available for him to just go and take the number 1 spot. So that's going to be difficult for him.
I think he'd walk ahead of Dubravka, for example.
Possibly.
You know, I'm just trying to think. He'd walk into quite a few of the Premier League teams.
It's just funny, that's what the journalists have all said, that there's no number 1 spots available that he could just walk in and take. They must all think he's that shit.
Yeah, but they're the same people who said Fellaini's coming to Newcastle, so we'll take that with interest.
The idea is
I don't think he's United quality anyway. I think
that he
United
wants
should have
to. Yeah, also he
been
needs to be a first team player. He probably came back from a loan Sheffield United a season too early. He wasn't ever going to replace David De Gea, and he probably he can't really sit on the bench because what's the point in being at Manchester United and playing like 5 games a season? He probably needs to go somewhere else.
Sounds like Donny van de Beek we're describing, not Dean Henderson.
Yeah, I don't know.
And Bates still actually plays for United. I haven't seen him in a United shirt.
Not in a while.
Apparently, he's made like 50 appearances, but they're counting when he comes on for 89 just to walk around and go, "Oh, was that it?" And that if I saw that tweet and I was Donny, I'd just be livid. It's just taking the piss. 50 appearances, probably about 200 minutes, but it's just a joke, really. They must have some sort of plan for next season when they're going to buy different midfielders, because with the current 3 we got to choose from, he's not getting in the team.
No.
Probably that'll be about Dan Burn.
Wasn't he linked with Palace a few days ago?
He still is. Apparently,
He's
we're in
still
talks.
I think it'd be a good move for him if he goes. Like
Him and Conor Gallagher in the centre of Palace's midfield would be a good pairing.
Yeah, that could be a good pairing.
They've probably got a few loose seats on the bench there as well, so it'd help keep them secure, wouldn't it? If nothing
It'd be
else.
interesting. John's saying you're going to get Brighton's director of football.
Yeah.
Oh. I thought he just misspelled defend.
I'm guessing that, unless I've misread it.
And Bissouma.
He would be a great signing. I think Brighton, the season they're having, I'm not sure they're going to.
Bissouma's an absolute baller.
There's no way Bissouma's staying at Brighton after this season.
No, he'll go to a bigger club, I think.
Not unless Brighton use some sort of voodoo magic on the transfer window to stop it from happening.
I don't know if they can sneak into Europe. You'd be inclined to think that player would want to show himself there, and he's got more chance of playing every game in European competition. That won't
happen.
Said that about a lot of clubs, mate. We'll see, mate. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, but I just don't see it happening. I think they will fade.
And I never saw Burnley making Europe. I mean, they might as well not have for what happened to him, but still, I'm just saying.
What happened to Burnley in Europe was absolutely brilliant.
I mean, we've got West Ham sitting there, haven't we, at the moment?
Yeah.
Looking at Champions League, Wolves are up there. So if Spurs continue the way they're going, why can't Brighton get there?
Exactly.
Wolves are more likely.
I think Wolves have got a good chance because they've always had a good defence. Now they're adding a few goals. But they could...
Yeah. They're a decent team. I just don't think they'll make the European places.
I think Wolves have to hold on to Kilman, really. I think he's been a massive
he's been
advantage. Yeah.
Rangnick likes him as well, funnily enough. United won't sign him, but Rangnick likes him. He's a good player.
That comment's quite surprising that they'd actually get to 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Surely Xhaka would be off him first.
At least Brighton are on course for their highest ever Premier League finish, because all they ever do is get 15th.
I think Xhaka, it's the first 50-50 ball, and then he's off, probably.
Who was the player for Arsenal who came back? What was it? Dinner time at the African Cup of Nations, came on the pitch and then got 2 yellows in.
Thomas Partey.
That's it, yeah.
Thomas
and then he goes, "Oh, sorry. Yeah, maybe just don't turn up.
Come back.
You've just flown back from Africa."
I think he got Arsenal fans. He looked like he was falling asleep in a game, didn't he?
Aye.
Yeah.
Aye.
Fair play to him for actually coming back to then just go straight into the team and play, though. But he should have just not bothered.
I actually saw a rumour that Origi's been linked with actually leaving Liverpool. It's I thought he was
I mean-
I thought he was stuck to the bench.
I
There was
thought
rumours.
I thought he had a restraint on his chains. I didn't know he could get out of that club.
Yeah,
But
apparently he just comes on for big important games, scores a goal, and then goes back to the bench.
We can not rumours of him going to either Newcastle or Burnley.
That the rumour's been I think it's Spain or Italy, but I'm just like, he's actually really good, like a decent player. I wouldn't complain if he came to Newcastle.
Mm.
Hmm.
And I've just
I think
actually seen that
Andrew's spot on. Like I agree with Andrew. Like I don't actually see any goals like in their team.
That's
That's
They
the
keep
problem with God,
finding
isn't it?
goals, though, mate. That's the problem. You can't. You know what I mean? They might not score just because they don't score 2 or 3 goals every game they win. It doesn't mean they can't do it. They're where they are for a reason. They keep finding a way. I mean, everybody does say, yeah, granted, they're the 1-1 specialists, but they're scoring goals enough. So if they can short one end more than the other, then you can't. I just can't rule. I can never rule a team out while they're still doing what they're doing. It doesn't matter how they're doing it. It doesn't matter if they win 1-0 all the time. I mean, we did it in 15-16. We won about 7 games out of 8, 1-0.
We done it when we took the title off. Well, we took the top spot off Newcastle.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not against
we won 1-0 12 times. But the thing is, you can't always rely on a 1-0 win.
No, of course not.
Rely on
But
one goal. Like it's
Yeah.
dangerous.
Who
Yeah,
do
but
you
you
think
can't-
would miss out?
you what? Sorry.
Who do you think, like, if Burnley get a European spot, who would miss out, in your opinion?
Oh, Arsenal probably. They look the most temperamental. Let's face it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at
just-
the table now. It's close. It is close.
I mean, unless Conte just got sick of Spurs like everybody else seems to do and walked out on them, I just think Conte's just too much of a manager. He won't take any slack from any dip in form like other managers have. He won't let it slide. I think Arsenal are the weakness in that top 6 or 7. So
The funny
that's
thing
who's
is,
missing out.
the funny thing about that is United's shortlist for the summer is Enrique, Lopetegui, Ten Hag and Pochettino, right? But I actually agree with what Paul Scholes said on our podcast 2 weeks ago. He still thinks Conte will ditch Spurs in the summer and join Man United.
I can see him ditching Spurs in the summer. I'm honest to God, I can see it happening.
Yeah. He's got them over. He's got them over a barrel. He's probably gone there to prove he can still manage in the Premiership and then absolutely mug Spurs off. It's just brilliant. There's nothing they deserve. They should. I don't understand how you interview the guy, look at his track record, and just don't offer him what he fucking wants. Because I bet you he's got double what they turned him away for. I bet you had them over a barrel in the hands. I wouldn't be surprised if he walked in there with the same swagger as Conor McGregor the second time around. 'Cause I
think when he walked in the second time, he basically just said what he wanted, and they had to give
Mate,
it to him.
if I was Conte and now I got the phone call the second time around, I'd have turned up in my boxers and a fucking pair of shades and slapped him with a wet fish and gone, sign it, bitch. That's what I want.
Nobody wants to see you try to be like Gary Lineker, mate.
No, I know, right? No one wants to see it. That's why I make sure.
Leicester thing?
Yeah, it must
Apparently
be.
so. Must be.
Very, very strange. You know, I would say, because Andrew says about the underdogs, I want Wolves to get European football just so everybody that thought Bruno Lage would flop at Wolves can eat their heart out that he was going to be one of the few that was going to get sacked at the start of the season.
Mhm.
Oh, it won't work because the squad's too used to Nuno.
I do not want Wolves in
No.
in Europe,
No.
and I'll tell you why. Because Wolverhampton's about 20 minutes that way, and I just don't. I have too many friends who are Wolves fans to get the grief off that, especially if we went down.
I think if they do get it though, like the way Bruno's turned that squad around this season, I think they do deserve it. Like,
Yeah.
probably better call them binary FC, but they have got the results when they need to, and especially against bigger opposition, they've been an absolute handful. Decent side. I think they're more likely to get a European chance than Brighton. Brighton are a decent side, I'll admit. Like, I've eaten my words on them, but
Yeah, after Wolves' start though as well, 3 games, and you kind of thought that the manager was going to be under a lot of pressure. I thought he was possibly one of the first that might get sacked. I think Wolves' job, Crystal Palace job, were 2 jobs that you think difficult jobs for new managers to come in. But just got another one, Bruno medical in the morning. It's like another signing. Newcastle
Yeah,
don't seem to be the only
That'll
one.
be Guimaraes.
40
It's
million
apparently-
euros. It's around 34 million quid.
We're Arsenal after him. They've obviously lost him to Newcastle. One of many.
Yeah, I mean, it's a surprise when so many clubs are after him. But I mean, obviously we've got the money to go for it. But if he's that good, why are we the only ones who have sort of had the bid accepted? It's a bit of a strange one.
For Leon. He's been quality for them, but I didn't expect you guys to go in. I thought you would go in for somebody more in the league to stay up. I think buying in the league at the minute is probably the best bet than just going gung-ho around Europe. But
like John said, clubs in England aren't going to want to sell too much to us because they're going to turn around and say, well, in a couple of years' time, if you've built up momentum from that, you'll be beating us. So
People have said that though. If you get held to ransom by some clubs, just go to other clubs. There's other players that want to come, other clubs that want to do business with you in different leagues. Like we did joke about Tielemans getting bought by somebody, and everyone here is pretty much happy if he goes to Real Madrid rather than Liverpool. You know, if they go to a different league, people don't seem to care. So if they're selling him to a different league, they don't mind if Newcastle do well in the Premier League, do they?
we'll go in with Jesse Lingard. I don't understand why Newcastle's offer is any different to what West Ham had last year. You know,
No idea.
it should just get the same offer.
Yeah,
I
but
don't know why we care. We just want him off the books. Surely.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's very strongly reported that Lingard turned round to Manchester United and said, I wouldn't like to go to Newcastle United on a permanent basis because I would rather reevaluate my options in the summer if that was the case. Basically saying I don't want to potentially play in the Championship if it all goes wrong. And that was like why I referenced the question I did earlier to you and John, because that just tells me stay as far the fuck away from a player like that if that's his mentality.
he's played the Championship like, for numerous clubs. I think, to be fair,
but when he was on loan, mate, when he was on loan in his early days, and he was on loan with us at the Championship, and he was shocking.
I think with Lingard, I think if we did get him, I think for up until April, even if we went down, I still think we would get 100% out of him here. And if we signed him on a permanent, you would have. He would want a clause in his contract, so he wouldn't be with us next year if we went down anyway. So it's a win for United because they gave him off the books. It's a win for Newcastle because we get a player which at West Ham scored more goals than he's ever scored in the season at Man United.
It just makes me think
right wing for you guys as well instead of a number 10. I think because you're playing that 4-3-3, Eddie Howe won't change systems. So I think you play him on that right wing where he initially under Jose, he was brilliant as a right winger under Jose. Before Solskjaer changed to obviously he started with a 4-3-3 in the interim period. Jesse Lingard was the right winger. Then he changed to a 4-3-1-2. He played him either as a number 10 or he played him in the front two. He was flourishing. There. It's just it hasn't been the same since. And then obviously when he got to West Ham, he played as number 10.
Yeah.
And it worked. I think realistically, you either play him on the right wing or you play him on the number 10. I think if he did go to Newcastle, it'd be a good move for him.
I think it makes sense. It'd be a good move for West Ham or Newcastle and Manchester United. I think the problem is Lingard probably wants to run his contract down to try and get a bigger payday. And
I think you're saying about playing number 10. He'd be all right as a number 10 because Joe Linton's dropped back into midfield.
I think he's a summer. I honestly think he's probably a summer signing. I think I honestly, by the sounds of the reports and what other people have said,
take that as a compliment from a Leeds fan.
If you guys were but you get him then because he's just. I think if you guys were 13th or 14th, he wouldn't even consider it. He'd have joined you permanently.
Yeah.
I think it's purely them words were quite strongly suggested. That's what was said by Lingard to Manchester United. So it baffles me because
just to respond to Toons' comment, we're only charging you all that money because of one guy, Sean Longstaff. It's called karma. That's pretty much United's view. If you done it to us, we'll do it to you.
But then look at that. If you took Sean Longstaff, you would have a player who's worse than McTominay.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So it would have been a waste of money for yourselves.
What they're doing to Lingard is wrong though, because he generally is a good player. He generally does need minutes because he can still offer to a team. Like he scored 2 brilliant goals for us. He made one wee error again in the Champions League, but he's still a quality player, and you would love to have a player like Lingard in your team. And yeah, Andrew, he went to West Ham for 6 months, and I think it was 17 or 18 goal contributions in 6 months.
I think
Yeah,
he scored 9 goals, which he's never done at United.
Mm-hmm. I think he'd be a good move for them anyway. If he went to Newcastle, then fair enough. But it's purely because of what happened with Longstaff. They were just wanting all that money. But I disagree with United's approach. I think if they want them to go out on loan, just let them go, because at the end of the day, you're just going to make them even more pissed off.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
What do you reckon to this, Brad? Fox would have trouble keeping hold of the left back.
Which one? Justin, Luke Thomas, Castagne. We've got 3 of them.
Yeah,
we can have all 3. I don't mind.
I'm not one of Montage. The club was actually not happy about it. I don't care. I never wanted them originally. I'm glad we didn't sign them. Just reiterating, that's what they're doing. They're using that exact same method.
He's not even that good, anymore.
It's wrong anyway.
He's not even that good.
I'll try and answer his question on basis of all 3 of them. I don't see Luke Thomas going anywhere. He's still 19. He's been born and raised through Leicester. He's got very good passion for the club. JJ has only just come back from injury. So I think JJ's got that sort of mantra that he will want to knuckle down, stay at Leicester for maybe a season or 2 more, get some football, get his name recognised, maybe even an England cap. We'll see. Castagne, maybe get fearful for competition. I don't know. I mean, his thing is that Pereira seems to be quite injury prone over the last 2 years. He's not really been able to. He's been very stop-start, and when he's got injured, he's been out for injury. So he's still getting in the side. I'm very comfortable if we lose any of them. I just wouldn't like to lose any of them because we've got 2 very versatile players in JJ and Castagne who can play on either side. And like I said, at the moment, with the way things are, they're always getting game time. But I would, out of all 3 of them, I'd rather not lose Luke Thomas, because out of the 3 of them, I think he'll be the one that stays at Leicester predominantly the longest, purely because he's from our academy and came through the youth.
Yeah.
To answer that question, the Manchester United would, I'm sure, they're happy to sell Lingard, but Lingard doesn't want to go. So what can you do?
I think if Lingard goes, you need to replace him properly, because whether he's like best in the world or whether he's just an average player, like if just using its context, like regardless of that, if he goes, like United need to replace him. What's United's intention? They're going to promote from within. Like, are they going to just promote from within? Or are they going to make a sign? They'll probably give Hannibal his position. I don't know, but at the end of the day, like with Lingard, regardless of circumstance, like if he wants to leave, let him go, because he's still good enough to play in the Premier League. He's good enough to get any team if he puts his mind to it. And
just to quickly nip it on Kai's comment here, no, don't say that, because he's far better a centre back. He's above the standard of Chelsea. Don't disgrace him like that.
Standard of Chelsea that has won the most.
Shut up! We're just denying that, all right? We beat them in the FA Cup final. The shit. Leave them alone.
Hey, Leicester won a title with Wes Morgan in defence.
Oh no, right. It's baffling me still. I mean, that's got to be the most sour grapes to any Nottingham Forest fan out there. They watched their former captain go and lift the Premier League as Leicester City captain.
Well,
it still makes me feel.
Look at the last United side to win the Premier League. You sort of question how that won it, and then then Leicester come along and go, well, we've got, was it Evans? Was it Evans then? No, it was
Evans was in that team.
Hoof and Morgan.
Yeah, he's one of the few people that actually won a Premier League title before, wasn't he?
Yeah, and
Chelsea,
you're just looking at it going, really? That centre back pairings like almost the oldest in the Premier League.
Simpson as well, one of ours.
Yeah.
What was really funny, one fact I didn't know about last year's team until it was mentioned, for how many years he seemed to spend at United, I could not believe, obviously how many trophies United still, I could not believe that was Johnny Evans' first FA Cup. He'd never won it when he was at United, but that was his first one with winning it at Leicester. And that just doesn't, as much as I'm grateful for that, it doesn't sound right, does it? Knowing that Johnny Evans spent that much time and that was his first ever FA Cup win.
Yeah, we didn't win an FA Cup for 12 years. 2004 to 2016.
You just think you just
Yeah, we
think
won't
in and
talk
around
about
the final,
99.
Mm.
There is one like about that United team that won the Premier League. There's two reasons. One, well, actually, no, three. One, Van Persie was an absolute demon in
I think
front of
Van
goal.
Persie's two of the three reasons, isn't he? At least.
He is to Arsenal fans.
He
Second
was an
reason,
absolute demon. Yeah, he was a demon. Two, Sir Alex Ferguson came out saying that will never happen again. I'm a winner. We're going to win this. And three, Man City bottled it spectacularly. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Like under any other manager, that team would never win the league. Under Sir Alex Ferguson,
that's true.
yeah, it's winning the league.
I mean, is this run that United's on with managers and that really just showing how good Sir Alex was at getting a team together, whether they're even the best players in the world or not, how good he was to get that team together with one target to win that Premier League?
Mm. I think it just shows. I just think it just shows his respect that players had in him. And there's a lot of players that he managed, and I'd pretty much say 90% of them. Yeah, granted, there might be a handful of them that didn't get on with him, but they probably weren't good enough to get in the team, and that's why. But you know, when you hear your manager saying, "Oh, I'm not ending it on this note, we're damn well winning it," you know you're going to step up and make sure that happens, because you certainly don't want to be in that dressing room on that season if they hadn't have done it.
You look as well like the way we lost to when we lost to Real Madrid in the Champions League, which was an absolute farce anyway. Our referee's a dick. After that final, if it hadn't been for, obviously we know what happened in his personal life. Obviously there was unfortunate issues with, I think it was his wife's sister, which was a damn shame. He said like in that summer, like he wanted Gareth Bale, he wanted Cristiano Ronaldo. If he got those two, he would have stayed purely so he can attack the Champions League. If he had got Gareth Bale and he had got Cristiano Ronaldo, he went for it. And coincidentally, he retires. The following during that summer, Bale goes to Real Madrid, and what happens the following season? Copa del Rey, Champions League double.
Yeah, good point as well. Klopp, Man City didn't have the same money. Well, didn't have the same.
Well, yeah.
Players they got.
But then you had Arsenal's chasing them down. You had Chelsea were thereabouts pretty much every year. Liverpool were where they should be.
I agree, Andrew. You're right.
The question about I don't know a lot about the Newcastle signing that we've been talking about tonight, but
what's the Newcastle things? I've watched a few Lyon games and he's solid in midfield. And he bullied Man City when they knocked him out of the Champions League as well. Like he's a good midfielder.
Yeah, he's a decent player. You know, you look at the clubs who are after him. Again, I'll say I don't know how we're the team who's actually got him. But as well, touch wood. Let's hope he passes his medical first, because that's knowing Newcastle players, it's the injuries that'll get him. Yeah, and if he comes in, then it's a marquee signing basically of this window. You know, Trippier was, but if we finish the time with him, Wood, Trippier, and a centre back, I'll be satisfied with January.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For everyone watching, we're probably going to go for about another 5 minutes. So if anyone's got any questions or anything you want us to talk about, please get comments in. For questions about where's John, so John came on the channel today. So what we've done is actually set up the stream, and I scheduled the stream on my channel. I've paired John's channel, so when John joined us as a guest, we're streaming to both YouTube channels at the same time. So get more people involved in the conversation.
When I'm live on Twitch, it does the exact same thing. Like we link together. If I'm live on Twitch, I'm not at the moment, fortunately, because I've already done a
I just posted my channel in there. So I got John to come on as a guest, and he's paired his channel, and just to try and get more people involved, to try and because transfers are obviously Newcastle transfers are quite interesting to talk about. So please check out the channel if you're new. I guess as Newcastle fans, there's been a lot of people watching tonight that support different teams, which is really good. So if you've got any questions, probably go for like 5-10 minutes.
I will say this. I completely agree with Wacky Angler's comment. I actually do think they do far too much on the PR and social shit. I think they shouldn't bother.
I think the thing with the socials is absolutely, you know, I don't think there's one Premier League player who will have control of his own socials, whatever happens. You know, he'll have an agency behind it, and you've got to trust that agency to do the right thing for you, and that's very difficult. You know, people just think it's post this, post that, but social media has such and it's such an anomaly in life because you don't know what's going to work for yourself, and what does work for a footballer on a social channel, it's really difficult because the only thing you do is play a football match. You know, you don't put your training up or anything like that, so it's a strange one, really.
I'll say right now, John Terry's in the mud.
You see that.
Hi, Stephen. Hope you're good. I think sometimes they completely misjudge when you watch your team play badly. The last thing you want to do is watch your captain come out and say, tell us that they were bad. We know, we watched the game, and then tell us they're going to do better. You think, well, you should have done better just then. Don't tell us you're going to do better, because that's just, if it makes it worse, if anything.
Or to say, I'm here to be here, and then throw the captain's armband when he deserves a punch in the face for it.
Or also maybe when you're like in a relegation zone and having the most embarrassing season possible, don't just respond to fans telling you you're a waste of money by posting your brand new car on Instagram, like a certain Les Scott did. Don't maybe do that. You know.
I
I
think
don't
that was
get
the person that said that they accidentally uploaded photos of their new car by accident as they're driving home and go, yeah, that sounds quite unlikely.
Yeah.
It's also even worse because you're on your phone while you drive home.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, you must need to get your shock absorbers checked because you must have some incredible bounce to unlock your phone, open the app, click on the photo button, and the gallery, select the exact picture you want whilst it's in your back pocket, then press post. That's some incredible bloody pocket work you've got going on there, to excuse the phrase. If you accidentally put a post up, why say it?
Maybe
Why
you
not
got the
just
car
admit
from
I'm a
Leicester
kid?
because they're up and down at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah, Leicester are like a double-decker bus. They're good at the top end. They're shit at the bottom.
Well, at least they've made use of it. Liverpool still got theirs booked, haven't they?
So Spurs are still waiting to dust out their trophy cabinet. They're desperate to add in the new record they got against us of scoring 2 goals in 80 seconds. But apparently the Premier League won't give them a trophy for it.
Vincent, I get your point, but I do think you're misunderstanding what they're saying when they're talking about putting the pictures and all that. There's a time and a place. That's like the whole meaning of it. Like, there's time and a place, and they certainly always.
I think it was like, if you just played for your team and then you post a car which is several years an average person's salary, then it's the timing, isn't it? John's question about VAR. We do talk about VAR on channel quite a bit, but I would say for me it's the people making the decisions. VAR just shows you replays. It's the people that look at the replay, or the people during the match to look at things and just, I don't know, the decision making. Say from Newcastle perspective, I want to see fairness, and I look at some of the decisions, and it doesn't matter what game you're watching. There's some crap decisions this season.
I've said it numerous times with VAR. I've got no issue with it. I'm just annoyed at the brain dead English officials. Every single one of them needs sacked, and I'm not joking. Like, I say it everywhere I go. English officials are the worst in football, and they need to
English officials, if they had Boris Johnson in charge, he'd be the smart one.
Yeah. That's sadly true.
I think the issue with VAR is it came in and refs started second guessing themselves or thinking, I've got this as a backup. I don't need to make that decision. It'll come to me later if it's a wrong decision. And that's kept going all the way through. So they've felt like they're less and less responsible for the game. And then I think the last weekend, it was the Newcastle penalty shout when Liverpool got theirs. And you just go in, how can you get that so wrong? You have a screen with it on.
Mm-hmm.
How can you say it's not clear and obvious? Some of the decisions are just crazy.
I also think one of the biggest things that the issue is with it is you also have that arrogance, don't you? And you hear it throughout sports that the referee thinks, well, you'll never hear a referee saying, oh, no, I definitely got them 2 decisions wrong, etc., because obviously they're always going to think the decision they made there and then's right. But I also feel that sometimes there's a little bit of an ego clash. You know, when you've got two very popularized well, not popular, poor sense of words, but you know what I mean, like very, very well-known referees, and you've got one in the centre and one in VAR. I do sometimes think there's a conflict of interest, and the one in VAR maybe thinks, there's contact there. I reckon if he looks at that, he's going to have to change his decision. So I get the brownie points for getting it right and him getting it wrong. And it's like,
we had two
can't
decisions
ref it
chalked
like
off.
that.
We had two decisions chalked off against Sheffield United. Like, if you can remember, like last season, they said after the game that we should have had a goal and we should have had a penalty. So, but like, it's always, if it's a big six club, it's always like fairing for them. It's just the fact is, it's inconsistent for every club. And it shows in the highlights.
I think it was like an offside. Was it Liverpool's last game? There's an offside and a dodgy penalty. And you do look at it and think, well, it just...
They failed to do anything to suck up the Liverpool's arse. I'm not surprised.
The thing is, as well, it's like I said, it's easier to publicise VAR's problems when you're talking about Manchester United. Who's going to read an article, unless they support the two teams I'm about to mention, who's going to read an article about an indifferent decision-making against Brentford and Brighton?
There's
probably a few general, but really Brentford and Brighton fans are going to be the ones. But the second it's a Manchester United decision or a Liverpool decision, everybody's watching it, checking it, you know, sharing it. That's exactly where it goes as well. That's why it always seems like the big six do get the majority of the decisions, because of the way it's publicised. It's very crafty how the media go about it, yet so obvious and easy as well.
Yeah. I do believe that there has to be consistency across the entire league. If you don't have consistency, then you may as well just bin it and just say, well, we'll just get goal line technology and just confirm if the ball's went in the net and just let the referee go back to them having overall say. It doesn't help.
A couple of points. I like what Tony's got in the comments, that maybe you should be able to appeal it, like in other sports where you get maybe like an unlimited number of appeals. If you're correct, maybe you retain your appeal. So you can just sort of say, oh, can you have a look at that? If they think something's wrong and they just look at that.
The question is, who has the final say and how do you do it? Because in other sports, most notably cricket, is where you'd get the appeal system in. The captain, that ball goes dead and the players have 15 seconds to confirm it with the captain, and and he's asking the questions, did it definitely nick the bat, etc., or whatever they're appealing for.
You have to have the captain.
You can't do that in football. You can't have the manager call a timeout and go, I think, are you sure that's a penalty? Are you sure? Yeah, you think all right, we're appealing for a penalty. You can't do that with football. It ruins the stem and flow of the game. We have that enough.
They're already doing that, aren't they? With the way they're...
I think you could have it so the managers are allowed, say, 1.5. So you've got 2 chances in a match. You don't even get it back if you're right. You know, you get 2 chances just to try and appeal something. But you say to a fourth official, I want to use this. He contacts VAR, they look at it, and the ref carries on with the game for now.
I get your point. My only problem with that is that just takes the stem of the game. I think pure and simple, if you're going to have VAR, every single VAR decision, the referee must go to the screen. And if they refuse to go to the screen, they get a fine. If they then repeat the same thing, like say if they do it in one game, they don't go to the screen, fine them. And then if they do it in the following game, you take them off a game. Like a couple of games, like same as a player, like suspension, you take the referees off until they learn their lesson. Every VAR decision, you must go to the screen.
Or it would be a genius idea. Just make a bit open communication between what's going on and what they're talking about.
Yeah,
and so
they have them like rugby, so they can just say completely transparently to everyone. Because if you're sat in the stadium and you wait 5 minutes and then you don't know what's happened, but maybe they should also
why a goal's not been given.
They should look at a
replay in real time. None of the slow motion crap. Just look at a replay in real time.
Yeah,
because it always looks worse in slow motion.
I think if you, I don't know if someone said it as a manager in a recent game, but I've always said as well, if you need to look at a replay more than 3 times and you still can't make your mind up whether you're right or wrong, stick your own damn decision. You're just looking for something to make you change your mind.
If it's borderline, you can just say, like having a mic, just say, look, we looked at the replay, we can't say anything, there's no obvious reason to discount what we originally thought.
And that's what they do in cricket. That's exactly what they do in cricket. You will hear the third umpire look at a replay maybe 3 times at a push.
Just
if it's
tell
really
the crowd,
tight.
just say to the crowd, we checked for offside, or we checked for.
I can't say anything to overturn it. Yeah, and you could even have it where if it's so close on the offside, but the linesman didn't flag it, you could say, right, I can't see enough there to overturn your official's decision. Stick with the original decision.
Yeah.
The goal stands. Don't have this. Oh, I'm going to get the needle out and I'm going to get me binoculars
I'm
out.
just
and look at
saying,
it.
other sports, American football have a
Get
decision
on
in
with
about
it.
20 seconds, so there's no reason why they can't.
Just get the Germans to officiate football games because they actually know what they're doing. I've never seen one. I've only
Yeah,
seen
someone
one or
just,
two issues with the German football. I've never
Yeah,
seen
I've been
anything else.
watching the sport quite a lot because it's the playoffs, and yeah, it's like 10 seconds.
I also think it's just really infuriating because it's almost like the football officials and the FA and all that are pretending like we're the first sport to ever doing it and completely blind to the fact that every other sport pretty much has it and they've been doing it for years. Like why are they still acting like it's a
And doing
brand
it
new
well,
thing?
you got to say most other sports, it's not a talking point, is it? It's just done.
Yeah, but it is in them sports. I've listened to. I'm a massive cricket fan in terms. Well, I follow England cricket. I don't follow county side, and it was a massive talking point when it first came into it, and they had to iron it out. And obviously, I get the fact that it's only new to football itself, and they're having issues, and they were always going to have issues to find a common ground. But the second they listen to fans' issues with what was happening, and guess what? Cricket fans had the same issues. They weren't hearing it. They weren't seeing replays. They hadn't got a clue what was being referred. Only people watching on Sky knew because they were seeing and hearing it, but nobody could hear it. As soon as they made it so it was on the big screen and fans could hear the communication between the VAR, if you want to call it, so people understand, and the umpire on the pitch, there's very, very little arguments about decisions these days. Very little. And I think even if it's against you as a football fan, you'd be like, oh, yeah, all right, I can see why he's given that. I can see why he's not going to overturn that. I can see why he's going to not, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? As a football fan, it'll be easy to take and to be more understanding. If you hear an official go, I'm sorry, I can't see a reason to overturn that, stick with your decision. You go as a fan, yeah, actually, if he's given that and he's decided to give it, I can't see why he's not. Fair dues. You know, you accept it more as a fan. It's just so baffling to me why they haven't got it better than other sports did when it first came into their sports. It just does. It still baffles me to this day how we've got it so backwards in this sport.
The other thing that baffles me with it is, I mean, we could take the Cavani sort of, he was onside, but people were saying he was offside because the camera wasn't straight. So it wasn't, you know, the lines were put in, but the camera wasn't straight on. So to the fans, it looked like he was offside, and then obviously the bent lines come in and everything like that. But VAR hasn't got the TV cameras either. So like, there's people who are on the TV looking at replays that VAR can't look at, which makes no sense whatsoever.
Yeah, exactly.
And
So isn't it?
should have every camera view.
John says he thinks referees from Europe should be allowed to ref Premier League games, which I agree with. But I think we might be hard pushed to send our refs abroad. I don't think they'd be that popular.
No, swap. It's not a bad shout. Fucking swap them
That's a
over.
great shout, man.
That's actually a great shout. Swap them over. Let's make sure there's absolutely zero chance that I don't want anybody reffing a game that supports any team in that division, let alone saying they can't manage, ref games, obviously, that they support teams in. It's like, no, if he supports a certain team, I don't want him reffing any game in the Premiership. It takes away all the biasness then, and all the people don't have the cop out saying, oh, well, he's a secret Newcastle, he's a Newcastle fan, and he would want this team to go down. That's why you get them a penalty. You know what I mean? I'm just using this example. You get rid of it. You get rid of it. Just get some non-biased people in. Get actually people that don't know football and they're literally taught rules for rules, and then they all in agreement that if it's a penalty in this game, it's a penalty everywhere. I mean, another one.
That's a big ask.
I know it might be, but it's dramatic because what they need. And another thing that really pisses me off when it's when commentators say it. I'm on a rant here. Leave me be.
Okay, I was going to
see you in a bit.
One thing is when people say, "Oh, if that's outside the box, it's a free kick." Can anyone explain to me why a foul isn't a foul everywhere?
Sorry, is he still going?
No, that's it. I'm done. I'm done.
I've got the clock. It's going.
We weren't ready for it.
Brad, it's okay. There's always every Adebayor moment to go with a Damari Gray moment.
Do you know what? It does annoy you when they say, anywhere else on the pitch, that's a foul, but in the box, it's not. And
that is literally down to people not wanting to be
Yeah, I was
into
going
a
to
position of influencing games, basically.
put this question. There's a few different fans on the channel tonight. So we do have a Newcastle fan, top right, and we do have the
Yeah, we do
Leicester-
exist.
we do have a Leicester fan that's just ranting quite a lot. Then, and
We can't even
Miles and
see him.
Motherwell
He
fan.
just rants.
but yeah, the fee for Lingard does seem a bit ridiculous, but I don't know why they've done that.
Bite for
I don't get it. As I
Surely,
say,
surely it's in our interest to actually move him on. So I don't know why we don't.
if we're spending that much, we want him permanent, and he doesn't want to come permanent because obviously. But we can put a clause in his contract. I mean, if we paid 20 million for him, put a clause in his contract that he can leave, even if it was on a free, at the end of the season. If we get relegated, he
Didn't
can
he
go
do
where
the
he
same
likes.
thing with Andros Townsend a couple of years back? Did he go after
Yeah. I think we did.
That was with Newcastle, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And Palace.
Yeah,
That was a weird one.
just come play your games because you're not going to play them at United.
Yeah, I always thought
You'll
that,
get more minutes than Donny van der Beek, but that's not difficult.
No, I say to Kai watching that I still struggle to think why they didn't come to a deal with West Ham because it worked so well for both parties, and it must come down to Lingard not wanting to do it, and it's obviously
I
his
think it
decision.
comes down to the table.
For me, if he wants to leave, then you should let him. You know what I mean?
Do you think anything could change by deadline day and he could change his mind and you'll see him at Newcastle?
Yeah,
Maybe-
I could see it. There is a slight rumour that we will pay 12 million as a
Stay up fee.
not even as a stay up fee. That will be the loan fee as such, which still seems a bit much for me. But so you don't have a relegation bonus. You don't have. We'll pay his wages, which is 2 million, and we'll pay sort of 10 million as a loan fee instead of the 2 million that's been rumoured. But
Yeah.
if that was the case, it's a bit less painful. But
Maybe we'll see him do a pet organ and wingy and just drive to your training ground at 11 o'clock.
The only reason he didn't let. The only reason Lingard's not going to West Ham and Spurs is purely because they are challenging us for the top four. We're not going to go in. If he wants to go elsewhere, then let him. But
I mean, as long as he doesn't accidentally turn into Sunderland's car park, which is so easy when the lights are off there, which is most of the time. We wouldn't mind him sitting in our car park. It's absolutely fine. Sometimes I think we sign people who are just sitting in the car park anyway.
For Lingard, though, it doesn't make any sense not playing because the World Cup's coming up. He quite often gets in the England team and looks okay in the squad. I don't know why he doesn't want to. If we're not going to allow him to go to West Ham, if I was Lingard, you're going to leave at the end of the season. Just take the loan deal. You can still run your contract down.
Yeah.
I can see it happening. I'm pretty sure it's going to happen. Come Monday night, Lingard will be at Newcastle.
Maybe Manchester United have just taken the piss a bit, put on a ridiculous fee, and you can negotiate somewhere down because Manchester United want him off the books. Or certainly, there's no
Why don't they just offer him to Arsenal for 25 million and a quid?
Because Arsenal will go out to pay 40.
He's not
that out.
Yeah.
No. We've got to keep Arteta in for the sake of our.
For worker. Yeah.
I mean, I showed Rich this. This was me before the show working out who Newcastle have been seriously linked to.
Everybody.
Over January.
Jesus.
And it's just nuts.
Everybody but the kitchen sink.
Yeah, exactly. So
the worst side is you got to flip that board to show the rest of the list, ain't you?
Yeah, exactly.
It's the other 5 boards next to
it. Yeah, I can't show you them all, but I don't think there's a player we haven't been linked to. I know everybody will probably think this has turned into a Newcastle stream the way it's gone, but just we've got to get the right players in. That seems to be happening. We've got to release the right players, but nobody wants to sign them, so that's a slight problem. And hopefully Everton will continue their downfall, and we've got sort of I think we've got Everton next as well.
Their owners are fucking ridiculous. Like 5, nearly 6, like
they splashed
the past 7 years they've spent nearly 600 million, and their highest position was 7th in the league in that period, and they spent 200 million. So they finished spending 70 million under Ronald Koeman. They then spent 260 million for Ronald Koeman, and obviously it ended with Sam Allardyce finished as manager and they finished 15th in the league. Like, they are so bad, and they've just every opportunity they can get, they've just wasted money. Like
It is a bit strange, isn't it? I was going to say thanks, Oliver, for tuning in, who is an Everton fan.
They're not getting relegated though.
Everton are a mess.
They're not getting relegated though.
I've said it once and I'll say it again. Unfortunately, I know this is, Newcastle fans won't like to hear, but we all said that about Newcastle being too good to go down years ago, and they went down. People keep saying it about Everton.
Twice.
We
did have Owen, which was a shocker. I mean, that was just.
You just think that, don't you? That it's like Norwich, Watford, and Burnley got to be the 3 favourites, I think, at this stage. Everton are on a really bad run. What do Everton fans think have gone wrong, though? Because expectation-wise this season, you were nowhere near relegation fight. It's got to be trying to push for Europa after last season.
Well, obviously, we've had the injuries to Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison that hasn't helped. But you can't just rely on them. And yeah, I don't know what's really gone wrong with Everton, because on paper they've got a very good, almost top 10 side. So it just doesn't make a lot of sense.
But it seems like Lampard seems to be the favourite.
Yeah, that's going to be a good one. It's not back in Ancelotti's their downfall.
Yeah.
I know it didn't end well in the end, but like they didn't back him properly. Like Carlo Ancelotti is still an elite manager, and yet they gave him utter dross to work with. I'm kind of glad that he told him, you know what, see you later, I'm off. I'm going to Real Madrid now. He's going to go and win the league.
Exactly.
Yeah, so Lampard might be a risk based on how much he's been a manager, but I think at this point it can't be much worse, can it?
Brendan Rodgers?
That's a flop and a half.
Brendan Rodgers goes to Everton for Liverpool, Liverpool legend.
Not a bad flop if he's winning an FA Cup, so is it, mate? So
yeah, I mean, I can't say anything.
You were saying a few things about Brendan Rodgers recently.
No, I will admit it, but I just wanted to get that slide in for saying a flop. He's a bottler. Get his title right.
The only trophy we've got is the Intertoto. We got the Intertoto Cup one year in the early 2000s, and that's about it. So
he flopped 10 in a row. That's what I'm going to say. So I'll give him a little bit of respect for that. He done that favour for me.
Oliver says no thanks, Brendan Rodgers.
But
they will take Frank Lampard.
So you'll take bottled. Hold on, he's prime bottle job. Look how many times he bottled a playoff before he bottled it with Chelsea. So you do like bottlers. So surely Rob Rodgers would fit in at Everton.
Yeah, but
it's difficult to say with Chelsea because Chelsea don't give managers any time anyway. So
yeah, in terms of Lampard at Derby, wasn't he? It wasn't. Yeah. It didn't quite go to plan in the playoffs, but I think he did a good job. I wouldn't be surprised if we see. Obviously, Gerrard's already here. Lamps will be here.
Well, look how Derby are run.
Rooney will be coming soon.
Rooney will do. I think Rooney will do.
Now his Skull's back out there, and we've got the full set.
I think Scholes can be bothered.
Yeah, where was he last manager? Oldham
or someone like that, yeah.
Which is ironic when he owns 1/5 of Salford.
yeah. Playing with his daughter's feet instead.
But cheers, guys. Before we wrap up, just want to thank everyone on the panel, and cheers, John Sinclair, that came on earlier for the first hour. But cheers, Brad. You can find Brad on Twitter, Full-Time Focus, also on Leicester Till I Die quite a lot. Dave, do you want to shout out your channel and socials? You're a first-time guest on my channel, so appreciate you coming on.
Thanks. Thanks for having me. I'm on YouTube at Motorsport Magpie, and Twitter and Twitter and Instagram is at Motor Magpie.
And Samuel, thanks for joining tonight. Appreciate you joining.
Yeah, no problem, guys. Nice to jump on. Nice to see some new faces and speak to some of you guys.
Yeah, I posted my channel in the link in there. So there's a lot of guests that probably not normally watch John's channel. And if you want to check out my channel, we do regular sort of podcasts, Premier League focused, particularly on Monday or midweek. Reese, you're hiding a bit tonight, but you can find Reese on Twitch and on a lot of channels.
I've mostly been back on my Twitch at the minute. That's what I've been doing more. Like back on my Twitch.
I can't see the swimming pool or anything, so you're probably not on Twitch.
Don't worry, I'm not an amaranth. Yeah, I know. Like it always pops up, so like I know exactly what you're talking about.
But people in the comments though, which 3 teams are getting relegated? Just to gauge opinion before we
Norwich,
finish.
Watford,
Niall,
Burnley.
thanks for joining.
Yeah, thanks very much, mate. Really enjoyed it. You can find me on Twitter at NiallKane91, Instagram Niall_Kane, and on Facebook at NiallKane.
Yeah, fair play. I think the signings Newcastle have done, I'm not going to put Newcastle down to be relegated, particularly after that important win last weekend. I think you got enough.
They'll stay up.
United, Norwich.
I think we might mathematically
We're getting
safe.
top 4.
I think we've already got more points than Watford and Norwich again.
We're getting
There's a lot
top
of
4.
Newcastle fans tuned in tonight.
I see. Wacky Angler agrees. Like Wacky Angler knows.
That's a good
Watford,
shout.
Burnley, and Everton. I'm calling it now.
Watford,
Personally,
Watford.
yeah, I'd
Burnley
change
and
Norwich and
Everton.
Everton.
So you reckon Norwich stay up?
I think Norwich will stay up under Dean Smith. Actually, I'll swap Everton and I'll put Brentford in.
Ooh, shout.
I think they're going for a bit of a fall at the moment.
If Norwich stay up, is that the best escape ever?
No,
West Brom's was.
That's always going to be West Brom.
Ours by records, ours was the greatest escape done
No, it's not.
officially.
No, it's
Thank you
not.
very much.
It's
Yes, it is on
You ended
paper.
up
It
champion
is.
next
It actually is on paper, mate. On paper, we actually have the better record than
I
West
don't care
Brom.
about paper. I don't care about paper.
I do, mate. I care about
about
standard and facts, mate, on that one, and we're better than West Brom. West Brom
Is it
for
fact?
an
You're
egg.
not going down Benitez fact route, are you?
Yeah, I am. I've got round facts. This time.
That's why
He hasn't got a PowerPoint, has he?
That's
No,
why
I
you can't
haven't.
take that serious. If he's using Rafa Benitez facts, you can't take a man serious.
Well, I struggle to take you serious half the time, mate. But there you go.
Cheers, Wacky Angler. Thanks for joining.
Yeah.
I got mate.
As I was quickly saying, Norwich I think will stay up. Dean Smith's doing a great job, and they're actually playing Adama and Cantwell, 2 of their really young players who have been tipped to be in that team for years.
If it had been Stripper Farka in charge,
They had no chance then.
I still think they
No,
will.
they'd be
I
down.
still think
They'd
they
be
will.
down by
I
now.
don't see them surviving. I generally don't see it. If they stay up though, then fair play to them. But I don't see it happening.
Yeah, so thanks, guys. And I'll be back tomorrow with a quiz. We've got Reece versus Stevens, Manchester United versus Liverpool. And then we've got Kieran versus Luca. So that's going to be pretty cool. So hopefully tune in then. That's going to be from like 9 p.m.
Yeah.
Cheers, guys. And
Cheers.
hopefully we'll get football soon. This international break. Somebody asked this international break, or not international break. This break for no reason just seems completely wasted time to me. I don't know.
Like a winter break, basically.
Particularly when like some teams haven't played games like they played like once in the last month. It's just ridiculous.
We could fit a World Cup in here in Qatar.
Be better as
Burn the
well.
players to death because they
It's
have
like Copa America that's playing, isn't it?
combinations.
Aye, I know that, but I'm talking about like Brazil's Argentina, isn't it?
That's the World Cup qualifiers.
Oh, right.
Yeah, Brazil just played now, 1-1.
Yeah, they bottled it.
Yeah, there's a lot of teams that are worried, but there's other teams that are worse. I think you'll be all right, Everton.
It's just funny that Dani Alves goes back to Barcelona and he's in the Brazil squad for it.
But cheers, guys. Thanks for joining. Thanks for watching.